Today on Mob Rules,
we talk about models.
We also talk about the Dark Angels.
Models.
and what we've been up to. All that and not much else on
Mob Rules. We did good that time.
Yeah,
Good dunk.
yeah, that was good.
Slam dunk.
Another 28,000.
Go to the last drop.
Yeah, but it is. Welcome to episode 56 of Mob Rules.
Got it right this time.
Yeah.
I did.
Probably.
You know what? I didn't.
For all we know, he
even,
didn't.
I didn't even look it up. The fact that my Twitter page is up right now and it's a pinned tweet. It's very little to do with it. I am Joan. Juan.
Just fresh from New York. He's
Is he a
John.
co-op?
Oh, a
Is he a
designer.
co-op?
Is he a co-op? You have to tell me if you're a co-op.
I'm joined as always by
Ted.
and his last in-studio appearance we have.
Phil.
But the poor fool is staying on via Skype.
Yes, one would imagine.
Or other methods of other communication companies want to
Carrier
pay
pigeons.
us money.
Yeah. Smoke signals.
We get
Paper airplane.
we get like a rad sponsorship deal, but it's from USPS. So, man, the mail got here overnight.
Yeah, we're gonna go to the mailbag. Oh, Phil's responding to the comment that I had 3 episodes ago.
Phil says, ha, 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 ha. I'm not sure if that inflection is right.
Woo.
So yeah. Wow.
Whoa.
Whoa. Is it whoa? Is that what it is? Whoa.
Are we going to slow down here?
Yeah. Whoa. Yeah. I didn't realize we were going so fast. 3 episodes later, it's like, oh no, we were mispronouncing that.
So it's been quite a 2 weeks, I think, for all of us. I think my hobby time and intake has gone up like 12,000%.
Oh, yeah.
From the 0 to what it is.
Thanks, live streaming games.
Hey.
Because I've been live streaming a couple of days now. I've done
right.
a 30K day, which we won't talk about, and then a 40K day.
I was there.
which was really I think more fun and successful.
I was on that thing.
You were
Yeah.
you were my inaugural battle.
Yeah, there you go.
So there was a request for you and I to play a game, I believe.
There was.
Was there?
There
Nice.
was. And if you guys want to do that, I can just go set up the rig. It doesn't have to be a live streaming. There
we go.
just definitely throwing that out there.
Okay.
I learned from you, Phil.
There you go.
Just latch on it every time.
Take it when you can.
But so I've been doing these like 8-9 hour tournament days of just like live streaming as many games as I can, mainly for like myself to get used to the setup and kind of how things are going and all that other stuff. But I found that I had like a bunch of free time, so I did like a bunch of hobbying, like
Nice.
while I was
That's
running.
great. Multitask.
Yeah, I got the Redemptor assembled and painted. I got a Primaris librarian assembled and painted. I assembled the Primaris chaplain.
Nice.
It's been a Primaris couple of weeks. And like I said, we got our first report up on Mob Rules. We got Phil versus Josh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tyrannid on Dark Angel action.
Yep.
And
How did that go?
It went
pretty well.
Pretty
up
well.
until a
It's
certain point.
I kept forgetting. The stream kept yelling at me because I kept forgetting to do a thing.
Oh.
I'm
What was
not
the
going to
thing?
spoil anything.
Oh.
Well, I guess we are the spoil cast. So
It's a short cast.
By the time this comes out, it's been up for like a week and a half, dude. Or
That's
2
true,
weeks.
that's
Like,
Yeah.
it's true. If they haven't watched it yet, you need to subscribe and get on the game.
it's not like it takes people a month.
watch it.
Yeah, please. I kept forgetting to drop in these jump pack Marines, assault Marines, because twice
They were
I
in
got
reserve?
they were in reserve,
Okay.
and twice I got the Maelstrom objective of having something in his deployment zone, and twice 2 turns I forgot to drop him in there to get it.
You're like,
And there
I
was
could
another
get points,
and there was
but why bother?
exactly, and there was another one where he had to keep everyone had to have none of my guys in his deployment zone. And I could have gotten that too because I could have prevented him from getting that. So it was like a 3-point swing on the Maelstrom, which was rough.
But what was really?
Yeah.
So it could have swung the other. I mean, tight, but it could have swung the other way.
Yeah. I think if I had remembered that, there's a decent chance I could have won Maelstrom,
Okay.
but I didn't. So I
Yeah.
didn't win Maelstrom.
But yeah, it was like there was literally people block capitals screaming on the stream chat of remind Phil to remember his goddamn assault
Did
marines.
John Twits.
I did.
Tweets.
Oh, okay.
I did.
It's John Twits. What am I, a 90-year-old man?
Yeah, seriously.
They were twitting on the interwebs.
He called up the internet on his phone and mailed them a Twitter.
The interwebs, and they went onto the Spacebook, and they
Thanks USPS. Really fishing for that sponsorship deal. I'm just saying.
you can get your forever stamps for only
Forever
good forever.
stamps.
Well, that's great. The USPS is going to send us a bunch of applicators. And like, hey, thanks a lot, guys. We appreciate your time.
Here's a moist sponge for putting on your stamps.
Motherfuckers.
So gross.
We got paid in moist sponges.
But yeah, I think I had literal like hobby orgasms over that Redemptor kit, putting that
Yeah,
together.
you were talking about that for a bit.
Oh my god, I'm still talking. I bought another one. Like I'm like literally
A third
okay.
one?
No, a second one.
He's just going to keep going.
Yeah, because I was only going to build one, but so I built it and like I did because I remember you telling me, Tad, that like when you build some stuff, you like you put like a piece of cork or something down, and so everyone's foot is always up a little bit to make it like a little dynamic and different. So I'm like, well, fuck, I'm gonna make this guy's foot up a little bit. So I did my rock trick where I get like a piece of like thick bark mulch. And kind of glued that to the base and kind of just propped his foot up there.
Nice. It looks good. It looks really good.
Yeah, thanks, man. And like, it's very little to no conversion on that. So like for my second one, I'm like, well, hell, I might just like cut the feet away and do like crazy things, make it look like it's running, barge it like Kool-Aid Man through a wall.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
That'd be so. I feel like they look cool enough. Like they're big enough that they can.
I want him to do like a Spider-Man swing.
Yes.
Do like a Spider-Man swing, like arm between the legs, flicking his like web.
Well, I think I got like super. That model got me super into like Primaris, like hugely.
Really?
Like,
That's
yeah,
what did it?
yeah. Because I was just like, oh my god, and like I read the fluff of it there, and it was like. They say that like Cowell and his technoseers made this suit and like this extra like cool Redemptor thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they didn't tell anyone that it actually very slowly kills the person on the inside, kind of like the Leviathan did in 30K. Wow. So that's the fluff behind it. So like my personal headcanon.
It doesn't last long.
No. My personal headcanon on it is like there's a mute button on the Dreadnought. So like when the Technoseer presses the mute button, all you hear is like, I'm in tremendous pain! It hurts, my god, it hurts, kill them all! And then they just hit mute and like, okay, so Brother Francis is ready to go.
Yeah. Are you ready to control this? Apparently it's all working well. Excellent.
So yeah, for me,
it's either that or we take your progenoid gland, man. Which one do you want?
Any Vox transmission with one of the Redemptors is just garbled screaming. Like kind of the way that the Peanuts characters, like the teachers used to talk. Like we're for some reason, like all the Marines understand it completely. But yeah, all it comes through is
Like, oh, they're flanking from the left. Excellent. We'll be able to take care of that.
Oh man, a whole different language.
Yeah, exactly. I like that.
Agony is his language.
Yeah, only Primaris know how to understand. Can understand the screams of Primaris.
Do you speak agony?
And then one of our
We need
listeners,
a Dark Eldar to come in and translate.
Maybe that's why they're slowly dying. Is that they've just implanted a Dark Eldar inside of the Redemptor.
but he's
I
having.
hate this, but it feels good.
Yeah,
That would explain why the crotch sticks out
There we
so
go.
much. He enjoys. Power
that's where
from
he
pain.
is. That's where they
Massive
insert the
Dark
Dark
Eldar.
Eldar.
Dead Woody.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then again, one of our I don't know when you talk about it because Jeff received life.
Oh shit, that was
Yes,
amazing.
did. That was so cool.
That was the best.
That was awesome.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah, Jeff the Custode.
John Troutman,
IRL.
I probably mispronounced.
Oh, that's
that
right.
horribly.
Yeah.
But he made a literal model of Jeff the Custode.
That turned out really cool.
It turned out
so good.
so cool. Like I know we joked for a while about like making a model, but I was like, God, a Custode with a mop's gonna look fucking dumb.
Nope.
No,
Nope's a town.
who
Nope.
said that?
Nope.
Who said that?
That was my thoughts, but no, it looks amazing.
Yeah.
To the point where that's reinvigorated the whole radio play thing with me. Where
Oh,
I'm
good.
like, oh man, that would be so rad because like you get that visual learner, I guess.
There we go.
But now we've added that extra layer where I just have a Redemptor on Vox that just screams and hands out instructions that way. But yeah,
Well, I think John was saying that like if his modeling skills were a little bit better, he would do the whole like volleyball diorama.
That would be awesome.
John, practice makes perfect.
Yeah, keep it up. Keep trying.
You can just like start by modeling like the team photo.
Yeah, or just have like the high five scene, where they like after they've just spiked the ball, then they're just high fiving there.
Yes. So that has been. Oh, and I painted 10 Hellblasters. But that that has been that's been my hobby week.
Yeah, that's a hell of a hobby week there.
It's been pretty good.
Yeah, that's impressive.
Did you get any games in? Or just
I
mostly
did
watching
not.
games?
I was.
I mean, you had a lot going on. So
Yeah, I was like cuck 40K all week. Where I just watched other people play. But yeah, I think I'm gonna start playing and filming my games too. Cause
There you go.
cool, may as well. You'll be there.
Yeah. Or even just putting up like, hey, you guys playing a game? Yeah, you want to let me film?
Justin's gonna have like a camera underneath like a trench coat, and he's gonna come up. He's like, "Yo, you playing a game? You playing a game?
I take out like my
You ever seen one of these?"
Little
out my-
POV thing, like you handing cash.
Yeah.
I'll give you $100 if I can see your.
if you let me watch you play.
Take out your army. Let me see your army.
Take it out, put him out there slow.
I just have this great image of me taking a 10-foot like camera rig out of my jacket. Like,
Exactly.
Well, where did that come from?
yeah. Well, it was
God's pocket.
It's bigger on the inside. I am
not
Scottish,
for
so.
Primaris. Primaris don't fit. Yeah. Ted, what you been up to?
I played a game of Red Bois, so we're officially.
nice.
I think we're unofficially done. So,
Okay, nice.
Because I think like the last one that was the. I think there's like 10 missions. We finished number 8,
Now-
but the last 2 are the. Hey, why don't you guys go buy a brand new army because Demons just came out. So. Like, no,
how
that's our-
convenient.
Yeah.
No, are you you were doing 8th edition now with Red Wild?
Yeah, so the last 2 it was
yeah,
cool. So we ended up like taking all the special rules out, like all the formations and stuff like that. So, and this is like it's kind of been like a, I don't know, contentious is kind of like too strong a word, but it's been a thing.
Oh, I have dogs today.
The
Lots
dogs
of
were upset about it. What
They're
about to
very
say.
Yeah, they
Very
don't
contentious.
believe, they don't trust in the 8th edition rules.
I like to get along.
Yeah. So you guys had little issues with that?
So I think like I wanted to do 8th, but with like the modified rules, and Kurt didn't want to do the modified rules.
Oh, okay.
So it would have been stuff like, all right, so if you take this formation, everybody gets Crusader.
Yeah.
So we'd have to come up with like a way of making Crusader work because there's no
yeah, yeah,
USR. And I think like I had one formation that I had to take with all of, I think it was like Badruck and then like all those flash kits. It was like 20 flash kits.
Yeah.
And I think they all got like Mastercraft or something like that. So
Okay.
there's no Mastercraft anymore. I mean, there kind of is,
Yeah.
which is I think +1 damage mostly. Like if you look at a power
Yeah, yeah,
sword,
yeah.
then a Mastercraft is
Yeah,
like
yeah,
+1
yeah.
damage. So I think like that, that would have been it.
Yeah. That makes a fairly big difference. I could imagine, because then it's like, figuring that out. So I could see that being a bit of an issue.
Yeah, I think
One
like
person wants to and one person doesn't.
yeah. So I mean, we just didn't. We just kind of
Yeah.
like went with like the theme, and like so we tried to take like armies that were thematic or like
Yeah.
they asked for, and they
Yeah,
were
yeah.
in the story. So.
Okay.
It was kind of nice because I think the last one I won, which I was really surprised about.
There you go.
So, but it was like I think I used flash kits, John. Like we were like 20 flash kits.
so good.
They were pretty decent. Like
Yeah.
they didn't rock my world, but I think like it just so happened like they could have. I could definitely see where like
Yeah.
the utility
Yeah, yeah,
is
yeah.
like.
I
definitely
always super love flash kits, even in the last edition, because there's nothing more fun than seeing someone get so worried over me rolling 1 dice.
there. Oh,
Because when you're rolling in 7th edition, you would roll to see what the AP was.
Yeah.
I think you do it in 8th as well, but yeah, like I know
no,
shot.
it's heavy 3.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
yeah. So I would shoot like I'm like, okay, this squad's gonna shoot at your Terminators there. Like okay, and I'm like, and it's AP 1, and I have 30 shots at strength 5.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, oh, it just yeah.
Oh, that's right. No, I'm sorry. The AP is
Yeah, still
standard
variable, yeah.
No, it's just like a -2, I think.
Oh,
That's,
okay.
oh yeah, because
They're
new,
really-
new 40K.
Yeah, I'm sure when they get a codex, it'll be hopefully. It'll be
There's some weapon.
The
I know.
Ludas.
Is the Ludas? Is
Yeah,
that
they have the
ones?
D3
Okay.
shots.
Oh no, yeah, but there's another.
There's a
Is it
heavy
the canyon
weapon
or something like
Yeah.
that they have like you roll 4
God.
dice and then you determine what each of the things are.
Is
So
it
you're
the
like
bubble
this is-
checka or
yes,
this-
the bubble checka.
Yeah, oh my god.
Yeah,
Oh,
because
I
I played
hated
against
that one.
Hogshead with that.
Oh
and
my
he would
gosh.
roll, and the first like it comes up, and it was like 4. It was like 6, 5, 2, like 1, and like 4 or something like that. And he was like, and the first time he puts it up there, he's like, all right, well, I'm going to choose 6 for the number of shots. And I was like, strength 1, and he was like, Okay, so it was like strength 3 plus like D6 or whatever.
I think the bubble chuck, the strength is D6, the AP is D6.
Yeah, it's like
so you roll dice.
It's the number. You roll all these dice.
Number of shots, strength, the AP, and
the damage.
Yeah,
I think
so you determine them all. You roll them all.
The damage in the AP was the same. So if it was strength 6, it was AP 6. But if it was strength 1, it was AP 1.
Well, yeah, but this one
that's
why the
it's
bubble
kind of
check.
weird because like you go back and forth. So like
the
owning player
that's
decides like the first dice where the first dice goes, and the opponent picks another dice,
picks the next
and you
one.
go back and forth.
That's way better than what it was before.
So he rolled these 4 dice and they come up, and that's why he's like, all right, we're gonna have 6 shots, and I was like, all right. It's like strength, like 3 plus D6 or whatever.
Okay.
And I was like, and 1 for the strength, so it's strength 4. And he was like, and he was like shooting at my like Land Raider or something like that. He was like, I see the folly of my ways. So then going forward, he was like, oh no, what do I do? Like if like a 1 or 2 comes up, he's like, I think I'd rather just choose one of those to something where it's not as bad to me. So he's like, I instantly see the error of my ways. So he's like, it's like one of those
backsies.
things. Yeah, exactly. But it's like, you have that one roll where it's like all 5s and 6s, and you're just like, I don't want to choose any of these for you.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah. So yeah, it's kind of fun. Obviously it would not be very good for like a competitive scene because if you can't plan things out, that becomes tough. But for having fun with each other on the table there, it works well. So yeah,
I gotta try that. Like I think that's. Yeah, it's such a hard kit because there are so many options with it.
Yeah.
Like once you go down that path, like I'm gonna do this, like the amount of like customizing and like magnetizing you have to do. Like I think with who was it? There was somebody else that was in the community for a while that they just magnetized the tips or something like that.
Oh really?
Like just the heads.
That's pretty cool.
Just the tip.
Yeah, just the tip. Only put the tip on.
So the back doesn't look quite right, but honestly, no one's looking at the back.
Yeah, you add some extra shit on there, then they're like, "Oh, it's orky," and nobody gets it, but the orc players.
Yeah, exactly.
So we'll see. I'm still kind of like I have half of one put together, and I have like 4 more laying there waiting. But it's like it's such a commitment. So.
Yeah, for sure.
And then I think like as an orc player, like I just feel like you can't have 5 of the exact same thing. Like I just so happen to put a piece of scrap over this fender right here on 5 different cannons.
Yeah.
Oh, I got to mod each one of these. God damn it. So
sucks to be you.
Yeah.
It's like yes it does.
So then there was that. That was a good game.
Yeah.
And I think last minute I was trying to put together a big track. Like I had this like old like Forge World kit from like 20 years ago. And it's like it was back when like they used to cobble old kits, so it was like part of the original orc battle wagon on the front that they had just made a mold of, like all this other shit. Like nothing's fitting right. It's like 2 different colors of resin. Like it was totally it was pretty old. Like I'm trying to get this thing together and like, god damn it, I'm gonna be late to the game. I gotta get this other stuff. So just barely got it, and it was like low riding because I had the front wheels on but not the tracks on the back.
Nice.
I think like I couldn't find the instructions either, so I accidentally put like the wrong. Like there's the crew compartment in the back is like open top, and I accidentally put the wrong one on there for the big gun that goes there, but I wanted it to be like a transport.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, I guess maybe those are benches
where
the big gun goes. I don't know.
Yeah.
Where the fuck is all this extra stuff?
Yeah.
Oh, parts that I needed.
Yeah, I had that when I was putting together the the rock grinder and Goliath truck.
Oh yeah.
Because they have like a different like back piece that you put on for the 2 different ones. So the front prow is pretty easy to figure out, but that back piece just it won't. You have to kind of choose one or the other. And I was like, screw it. I'm like, I'm just going to put whatever one I think looks coolest.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to call it a day.
May as well.
And everyone else can just deal with it, because the big deal is like, if you either see that front plow or you don't see the front plow, that determines what it is that this thing is. Like that's the big signifier to someone's mind, like whether it's a rock grinder or a Goliath. So I thought that was kind of funny when I was sitting there, I'm like, maybe if I could make it, and I'm like, no, not worth it.
I mean, that one person out of 70 who's going to look at it and be like, hey, you're a phony. Yeah. That's not a Goliath, that's a rock rider.
Yeah.
But for everyone else, no one knows. Like when I run like Trigons as Molochs and vice versa, I think there's 2 people out of 30 who are like, is that a Trigon? Yeah. Okay. Because like all that's different is the Moloch has tiny baby arms, and the Trigon has big daddy arms.
Yeah. I just
unless
see,
you're versed in it.
Yeah,
It's like, oh, that's a weird thing.
I just see giant bug, and you tell me what this giant bug does and is, and I'm good to go.
And how many wounds is this giant bug?
Yeah, that's all I need to know. So how many las cannon shots do I need to take this thing out? Okay.
So many. And then
So many.
you got some new Primaris toys as
yeah.
well to
So I got
assemble and play with.
I got one repulsor, and I was
Yes.
supposed to put together 2 others. So Tada has me putting together some, and I think like we were kind of talking about like I have this tendency also not just to do the Captain Morgan once in a while with my models, but to also like, but to the first model I put together, I always put together stock.
I really want to put the repulsor's hand on his knee now.
Yeah. Like
Another
pirate
repulsor,
cap,
the Redemptor.
You have another
pirate
one.
cap,
I
yes.
do. Oh, he's going to Kool-Aid
super
Man
cool.
through ruins.
Yeah, or just have get like a treasure chest that he can put his foot up on top of.
But, so it's kind of nice, like putting together one for Tada, one
Yeah.
of the repulsors for Tada, so then I could just do like the stock thing,
Yeah.
get it out of my system, and then when I actually get to mine, it'll be like, all right, we got some servo arms and some.
Well, what's kind of
data
nice about that
feeds
as
and-
well is you can kind of like, because like I'm more confident with my Redemptor now because I put one
yeah,
together.
yeah.
So when you see how it goes together, then you're going to be able to be like, okay, now I can break it.
Yeah, exactly. Know the rules before you break the rules. Yeah. So that was neat. Also got together the Reaver with his Skitari chicken legs.
Oh, nice. Yes.
Yeah, I saw the video on
Yeah,
that.
I
That
saw
looked
that was
amazing.
good.
I'm at some
Darth
point I'll-
Maul lives in the 41st millennium. It was super cool.
So I don't know if I'm going to do more of them. I think like that one was a lot of work.
Yeah.
And
It looked like a lot of work.
so there's like part of me is like, God, I could have done this differently, like, but it still would have been the same amount of work.
Yeah. Yeah, I put together a bunch of them, but I did just like the standard stuff. I obviously didn't do chicken legs on mine.
Yeah.
I think the most modding I did on them was I cut off like the pins on the arm so that their arm was just
Oh,
like
yeah.
a slightly different angle, so it wasn't quite exactly the same dude bro standing next to each other. They have like it's like no, I'm looking to the left, you're looking to the right, so we're different people.
Well, I think it comes with only two arms. Like there's 2 of the same like arm bent with a purity seal on it. So there's really only like 2 arm options.
Yeah, there's very little to do that you can do
Yeah.
because it's like I got the snap fit kit, so there's
Yeah.
it's like 3 of them, and then you buy another snap kit fit, and it's 3 of the exact same ones.
Yeah.
So then I had to change them like
4 guys with the same arm.
Exactly. So I was like, I ever so slightly, I will change you.
Do you think you'll
So
pick
you
up
have a
the
different-
other kit, like the full on?
It looks really cool,
Yeah.
and I like some of the other options that they have with it. That might end up like further down my hobby list just because I've got 6 of them that I can run for for what I want to do, because it's like, all right, well, you all just have heavy bolt pistols, which by the way are just bolt pistols. I don't know why they call them heavy bolt pistols when they have the exact same stats as a regular bolt pistol.
Because it sounds badass.
Yeah. But then they have combat blades, which are basically like chain swords, but in
Those guys
like
are
knives.
dirty.
Yeah, they're really cool.
And they're pretty much like the same points cost as like or a little bit less than a Primaris.
Yep, they
regular
are.
dude,
Yeah,
so.
they are cheaper. It's nice. And then you got like I think it's
Plus they got the terror rule and like
yep,
God.
and they've got the grav shoots, so they can deep strike, which
And
is nice.
The
'cause-
not infiltrate.
and the not infiltrate. Yeah, so it's kind of cool to be able to run some of those guys like that.
Very
It's
dirty.
just like
Well, I think like one of the neat things that if you want to buy one of those now, you're actually going to be saving money when you go through Canada, because in Canada they let you dine and dash, so you could be saving
let
hundreds.
the most you get is, hey, you're supposed to pay over here. hey, you forgot your check over here.
I'm
it's
sorry
totally
your
cool.
bill was too high.
Sorry, you have to pay for dinner.
So there's at least like 2 Reaver boxes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I've seen the aggressors. Those guys are right now. They're the ones that I'm like.
I'm on the fence about that.
The repulsor
Yeah?
and the repulsor and the swole tempter are like really tempting. But then those aggressors, I'm like, they look kind of cool. I really think they look kind of cool, and I've been kind of like thinking about.
I think with a little bit of mods, though, I think they'll be
Yeah,
fine. I think
yeah.
like the arms draped down, like,
Yeah.
like my hands are too heavy.
Yeah.
Look, like
Which I mean, fair enough. They're pretty.
yeah,
weapons on them.
a ton of shit. over
Secondary power went to the grenade launchers, not to the fists.
Yeah.
So they weighed on the
abs,
side.
Yeah.
massive abs.
To the abs.
To the abs. Exactly.
I think it's one of those kits where like from the front, I'm not a huge fan of the Gravis armor.
They have nice back though.
Yeah, well, like
John loves to watch him leave.
the only Gravis back I've seen is the one with the captain.
Okay,
Oh
yeah.
yes.
Where
he's
it's
got the
covered with a
cape,
cape and stuff like that. So I like, although you can kind of get like some idea of it,
Yeah.
there's only like so much you can see from that. So I think I'm gonna let one of you guys buy it first, and then I'll look.
Yeah.
The-
Well,
the-
it's-
the-
the
the-
Iron Man
I've heard it's kind of a little fiddly to put together.
Oh, really?
But yeah, someone was talking to me and they said that they bought them and they're a little bit fiddly to put together. But I don't know. He got them together and they said they looked cool and they kind of seem like an interesting, the thing. The Gravis armor, I've run the captain with Gravis armor a bit, and it's kind of an interesting. It's like a 3+ armor, but it's got basically the Iron Halo the Iron Halo with it. So it's got a 4+ in-roll. But he's got +1 toughness and +1 strength.
Okay.
So it adds a little bit of oomph
cool.
to them, which is kind of cool.
neat.
Yeah.
I was just looking up Reavers real quick, see if you could make like a veteran Reaver sergeant. So like, all your work wasn't in it, but they just have regular sergeants.
Just his regular ass sergeant. Yeah.
But you now have the world's fanciest grav shoot
Yeah.
because he turbo assaults from the air and like his claws just shunk into the ground.
And the little struts kind of absorb it.
Yeah.
When you hit like terminal velocity, you hit the ground, those little struts do a lot for you.
That's probably what it was. He was probably one of like the first, the
Like,
first,
fuck, my
the
legs.
first ones to test out the grav shoots, and it was like, ooh. So that entry's a little bit too strong for a Primaris
I would like to
Marine.
report to Mars that the fiddly little things on the back don't work. Just want to say the fiddly things not so great.
Yeah, exactly. Excuse me, call. I'm gonna need bigger fiddly things on the back because my legs are now broken. So
And gone.
yeah. And in addition to the bigger fiddly things, I'm also going to need new legs. If you could, thank you.
And that's when Kyle's like, "Your legs are broken, huh?" Like, I'm pretty sure I'll get better. Yes, yes, you will.
I've been in a poultry mood lately. How about some chicken legs? God,
Rostocker over there's missing some legs.
Exactly.
Or they have like
Yeah.
I have my legs back, sir.
they have like Rich the slow servitor.
Yeah.
He's just like, it's like, I'm in a poultry mood today. I'm like, poultry, got it. Okay, thanks. And it's like, he wants chicken legs.
Yeah. Magos comes over. Is like, excuse me, call. Why is my Ruststalker not have any legs? He's not doing me any good over here. It's like, I don't know. And then like the Primaris guy walks by.
These are great.
It's like, still no idea. That's coincidence.
Now I'm 10 feet tall.
Got a little oomph there.
But yeah, your video showing that off is up on YouTube,
Awesome.
and it looks very, very good.
Yeah.
We'll paint it at some point.
Yeah.
That'll be another video down the road. There's been too much coming out.
Exactly.
Oh my god. Oh my gosh. So I think I was I telling you about the Lucius? Oh my god. So Dante over at Ferret Forge happened to cop locally. Somebody was selling I think they were getting out of the hobby. They had a brand new in the bag, all unassembled Lucius pattern Warhound that he got for 100 plus Cadian upgrade bits for $100.
Wow.
Yeah, that's $400. It's no longer in print. He flipped the Cadian stuff for $60. So basically, I think he paid an extra $20 to have the guy hold it.
Yeah.
So he basically got a brand new in the package with all the extras, an extra head for like the variant heads, like all the arms. For $60.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So he brought that over, and I think, I guess it'll hopefully be out before this drops. But we did like a quick video on that.
Oh, cool.
Just kinda, here's a model that you can't buy anymore. If only you could have gone back in time and bought this.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But, so that's really exciting. And he was like, "Hey, can you put this thing together? Because I don't want to."
How is it like the size of like a?
Oh, it's a full-on Warhound. So it's like a little over a
cool.
foot, maybe.
Wow.
Maybe,
Yeah.
something like that.
That's cool.
Maybe just
that's
a
really
foot.
cool.
I don't know. Yeah.
Because I've seen Warhounds. I didn't know it was like that. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
So that was cool. So what was the last thing that I wanted to go over? The game. So 8th edition. So I have like a little bit of like a gripe, and I just want to see like where you guys feel about this.
Okay.
So in that game of Red Wa that we played with Kurt, I think there was like a point like we're going through the I was going through the rules for. Oh God, what was it? It was something about like coherency. I think there was like an assault where I think I had a fan of orcs that hit like 3 different units or something like that. Maybe it was like 5. I don't know. So but they're all like a bunch of jumbled, like 1 Space Wolf here, 3 Space Wolves here, a Vindicator here.
Yeah.
So I hit them, and then we're fighting, and of course, like orcs die as they do.
Yeah.
And then eventually, you know, I'm like, I have 2 guys over here. There's 3 guys over here. There's 2 guys over here of mine.
Yeah.
And there's like big gaps in between. I'm like, oh crap, let me consolidate my guys to make room so you can bring Logan in and kill my guys. So like,
It's awful generous of you.
you know, I'm kind of done with those orcs. They've
It's like,
failed me.
be the opponent that you want to play.
So I'm like about to do that, and he's like, no, you can't actually consolidate guys because they can't. There's too much of a gap between those guys there and those guys there, and you can't bring them into coherency anymore, so you can't move. I'm like, what are you talking about? And like, I go through, I'm like,
sound right.
Consolidate says right here that you have a 3-inch move. He's like, well, it's not in the main book. There's a PDF that they put out that's playing 7th edition, or from people going from 7th to 8th, and it talks about how if you cannot move a guy into coherence, or so the unit is in coherency, nobody can move. And so he shows me this, like, well, that's crap. And then later on, you know, like I think at some point there's like another rule where it's like, no, that's in the FAQ. And so now we're at the point where like we have a game system that's out for a month, and there's like an FAQ, how to play that supersedes the main book and a main book. And then like I think I was talking to Todd, or he was also telling me about like how modifiers work. So like a modifier to add 1 or subtract 1 from a dice
happens after the rerolls.
After the rerolls, right?
Yeah,
so like you can potentially not like roll a 1, but if it's like -1 or whatever, maybe it's like a 3. I think there's like
It's
if
the
you're hitting
3
on a
if you hit
4,
it. Yeah,
then-
if it's like if you're hitting with a power fist and you've got rerolls. If you roll a 3,
yeah.
it's technically a hit, so you don't get to reroll it, and then it gets the -1 afterwards.
Yeah.
So then it's a miss. Yeah.
So the rolling a 3 is the only way that you could not.
Yes. If you roll a 2, you can reroll it because that would have been a miss. Same
Yeah.
thing with a 1. But if you had rolled that 3, because it was supposed to be a hit before the minus, you don't get to reroll.
It's a
that
4-stage roll. So you have your roll,
Yeah.
reroll, abilities, modifier. Roll, reroll, modifiers, abilities.
But I'm just getting to like I think it was going through this where like the rule wasn't in the book and it was in like a PDF that was for people to transition.
That transitioning PDF
That's
thing.
not a GW product,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Oh, because I don't think that supersedes the main rulebook.
The main rulebook is
I think it's supposed to help people figure that out, but I don't think that supersedes the main, because I hadn't even heard about it.
I mean,
so I know that the FAQ does, like they have those things where they've clarified certain things, but I haven't heard about that transition.
I hadn't heard about it either until he brought it
Yeah.
up. And then I think it's like, so I'm kind of at this point where like we have this edition that's been out for a month, and granted it's a brand new edition. Of course there's gonna be like bugs to work out, but I think like especially rules where like there's an order of operations, and then that becomes cumbersome all of a sudden, where you have to remember, like, okay, not all rerolls, you can't reroll all misses, just ones where there's no modifiers. Yeah. You know, like, and now it just seems like it's mucking the system up a bit. Yeah. Like, we're kind of going back, but in this, like, weird, like, lawyerish kind of way, where 7th edition wasn't necessarily lawyerish, it was just a lot of stuff to think about.
Yeah.
So, my take on that is, for 7th edition, for my tournament Tyranid list, I took my Imperial Armor Forge rule book, I took my Tyranid Codex, my rule book, my FAQs, my digital Leviathan Rising data slate.
Oh, God.
And also the Leviathan campaign supplement. And that was for one 1850 army. I had rules across 6 different books that I had to follow.
Yeah.
And I think I did have an issue with the way that rerolls worked when I started playing 8th, but I just kind of refocused how I'm looking at it, where this is a completely different game. Yeah. And like I got in my head the roll, reroll, modify ability. Yeah. And kind of like just working through for that. It's a bitch to get used to.
It does take quite a bit of a mind shift in thinking about it.
But when you do, it helps.
Yeah, it becomes like anything else. I think it because it's something that's new. That's very like that. That's probably, that alone is probably one of the bigger differences between, I think, 7th and 8th. To be honest, if I'm being honest, I think that's that mechanic with the rerolls is one of the bigger mechanics shifts versus a lot of the other things. Because of that shift, it does take a bit of a shift in thinking about it. But it does get easier. I've played a gajillion games, but
But I think that I guess my point isn't that I'm griping about that rule. I'm just I think it's the idea that there is this we want a simplified rule set, but it's like it's not. It's becoming less simple. Like when the book first came out, that wasn't like so much of an issue. But now with the FAQ, and then of course everything else coming out, like things there are more like nuances to it than originally assumed.
Yes,
and I think like if the idea was to streamline it by adding all this like this weird lawyerish kind of stuff to it, like we're kind of missing that like simplification.
Yeah, I mean, personally for me, like things like the consolidation. Personally, I have no issue with you consolidating because that makes sense to me.
Right.
It's a game where two people have to enjoy it. And being in a situation where I know that unit can't move, so most likely it's just going to die. Tough titties.
Right.
Doesn't make it fun. I don't think that's an issue with the rule set, per se. I think that's, we forge a narrative, discuss it with your opponent.
Yeah. Well, in this case, it worked out. Like, I was able to move it so that we were in coherency. But it's still...
And then I think... I mean, it's like if we were to sit and play Risk and complain about how complex Risk is and how we're sick of Risk, and then we go and like, okay, but now we want to go play Monopoly. Monopoly is a simpler game. It's a similar idea, but it's a completely different system. So there's going to be a lot of dumb stuff when we move to that because, like I said, it's just, it's different. So that's how what helped me transition was just assuming that this was a new game I picked up, like Infinity or X-Wing.
But along the lines that you're talking about, like the simplified game versus now with all these FAQs, the way I see it, and yes, there have been 2 FAQs now since the game dropped, and it's only a couple months old. A lot of the things that they've changed in there have been balance issues and correcting, like obvious misprints, you know what I mean, like things that were obviously left out, or things that were put in that shouldn't have been in, or things that weren't like stated clearly, and that's what those FAQs have been clearing up. And some of them have also been game balance issues, like when they said like all of a sudden they realized that the system they created made that all Storm Ravens became very difficult to handle, so they were like, all right, well, you also need boots on the ground or you're wiped off the table. Like there's things like that they've done, and I view the FAQs less as changing the game and more about like the responsive to clarification, because I remember so many times in 7th edition more so in the earlier parts of 7th edition before they started actually responding a lot, before they came out with the Warhammer community and stuff like that, that you would have these times when you would say something and people would be like, rules is written as this is what it says, and it's like, no, it's like that's obviously not what they're saying. It's like, I'm reading it, that's why I'm seeing it, and there's nothing you can say because GW doesn't say anything. and you'd be left there and you'd be like,
I have no comeback to that.
What do you say? Because that's obviously not what's meant to be, because I'm reading it and rules is written in my opinion is this, and it's not like rules as intended. It's like, in my opinion, rules is written as this way. You're saying rules is written as that way, but I don't like. I can sort of see how you're saying that, but what you're saying is obviously not what was intended. And they're like, but it's rules as written, so I'm going to do what I'm going to do.
Oh, okay.
And you're left with a situation where it's like, if GW's not saying anything, you're like, well, F that. Like, this sucks. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I think that coming out with the new FAQs, the fact that they're responsive, the fact that they're changing some of these things, because honestly, most of the stuff that people like right when it came out and people were like, oh, this is broken, this is the way it's going, and they're like, nope, not as much. That's definitely like, not what it's supposed to be done.
You're right. That is broken.
Yeah. Exactly.
So now it's no.
So I think like I guess for me like these are like red flags so much as like deal breakers. Like so my hesitation and my concern is like, if at this pace of rules change, if it continues like this, I'm not interested.
Yeah.
If it continues, and of course, like if there's a meta change and like all of a sudden Falcon grav tanks are really great, like well, bummer. Like that's the way it's always been. Like something comes out and people have to adapt to it. Yeah. But if if it comes out. And so I don't want to see like the rules change just like, oh crap, we screwed up, let's quickly fix that. Now everybody has to change like the way they're playing the game. But if it's just like in the interim, like, okay, we have a brand new game, and of course there's going to be like we're I don't know, not beta, whatever's next after beta.
No, for sure.
Like, like that makes sense. But.
Yeah, and I think I agree with you. I do think that if it's going to be a constantly changing game where it's just like constantly everything's changing all the time, it becomes hard to learn and go with it. You're right. But I can see how those would be red flags, but and this is me maybe reading rules as intended versus rules as written. But the way I
is
see
intended
it,
versus intended as
exactly.
written.
Wow.
I'm saying like or
Racist.
GW as intended versus GW as written. It seems to me that what they're doing now with these FAQs coming out quick like this is they're correcting things that the playtesters didn't see, because you could playtest it till the cows come home, but once you throw it out to thousands of players,
get that.
and that's to me what these feel like. These early FAQs feel like, where it's like we're getting feedback for the first time from a bajillion people. We can now see what's going on, and then they make those. They step in and they're like, we're making these things because this is the way we intended. We didn't intend for this to become, Wings of War. We intended this to be, Warhammer with the ground troops and everything, And then they responded to that, and they were like, this is the way this is the way the game was intended for us to be. This is what 8th edition is supposed to be for us. And I think that going forward, you might see a quick FAQ come out after each of the codexes come out, just to clarify certain things, to make sure that things get picked up as they come along. But beyond that, I imagine they're probably going to go, because doesn't the what does AOS do? They do like a bi-yearly general's handbook.
Yearly.
So
Yearly,
the Age of Sigmar is going to have a yearly general's handbook come out with like points adjustment and a slight rules adjustment. 40K is going to have the same thing with chapter approved.
Oh, it's chapter approved. That's
going
what's
to come out
okay.
once a year.
Yeah.
And like I kind of agree with you, Phil, here, where like they had some of the best players in the world playtesting this game. Like they had the Frontline Gaming guys, they had I think the Nova Open guys, the Adepticon guys playtesting this. But when you open it up, there's a lot of asshole players in the world who, I mean,
we're going to try to break the system.
Yeah, they look at it, and their goal looking at an index is, how can I break this?
Yeah.
And that's how they get their fun for it, and that's fine. It's Forge and narrative, play your game, man.
Yeah.
But like there's part of me that agrees with you. They're kind of like, I'm looking at digital editions now, because I'm like, well, shit, if they're just going to update it every couple of weeks, I don't want to bug.
I'm glad I didn't buy my version of the 40K main book. Thanks.
There's the part of me as well that remembers being stuck with bullshit Death Stars in 7th edition for like a year and a half.
Yeah, because there was no way to correct it.
There was no way to correct it. So it's kind of a really fine balancing act.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's thankfully not been one a week. We've seen 2 so far.
Yeah.
And those 2 addressed really major concerns super quickly. Like there's a lot of superfluous shit in there.
Yeah.
But I think, what did the first one address that was super big? I know the second one addressed flyers.
Yeah, the second one was the big change, was the flyers. That was the big thing that they corrected. I can't remember. I think the first one was general
FAQs. I don't think a second FAQ would have come out if the Storm Raven thing didn't happen.
Yeah, I think that was the main impetus for that. And I think there was a lot of things with the Space Wolves that got missed on the first time out.
Yeah,
like I was talking to some Space Wolf players, and it was like certain guys didn't have access to the frost cannons that should have had it. There was other ones that like didn't have certain rules that it was pretty obvious they should have had. So I think they corrected that because if you look at the second one, like the majority of what got changed was like Space Wolves, and then that issue with the flyer. So so I think and this maybe is me being hopeful for it, but I don't think you're going to see FAQs coming out quite as often as we have in this one, because I think this is a course correction for like a major shift in the game, because 7th to 8th is it was a huge shift.
And you have to look at it, they rewrote the rules for every single model in of game. And there's not 7,000 people rewriting the rules.
I kind of get the impression that you think that I'm like bad
mouthing.
No.
We're using this discourse to explain.
I get it.
No,
I'm
absolutely.
just like saying like it's red flags aren't like salt.
Yeah, no.
I definitely okay. We're gonna keep an eye out.
No. That's not. Yeah, that's not what I. I didn't even think of it that way.
Not picking up salt from you,
because
I'm picking up concerns, genuine concerns. Because, like I said, we both agree with you.
I've had plenty of people on the internet throw a lot of salt my way about it. Well, that's not what you had was not salt.
No, not at all.
What you had was an observation versus salt. So, but I agree with you. If this does become like the new norm, and it's like you have a new FAQ every week that you got to keep up with, that would become very, very annoying.
Tedious to have like a 100-page rule book and a 120-page FAQ.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, no, thank you.
No,
nobody wants that. I wholeheartedly don't believe that they want that either. So I think it's going to be I think these are course corrections, and then I think they're going to stick to like the chapter approved.
I guess my fear is like, you know, I'm fearful that they had like, because there has been like this big pendulum switch, like a swing, and from like, you know, zero communication, zero fan like support, like zero community involvement,
overly attached hobby company.
Bam, hi, how you doing?
Yeah.
You know, liking us on Twitter or following us on Twitter, you know, like what?
Yeah,
Who
for sure.
So like, you know, like my fear would just be like, all right, are they gonna like buckle every time somebody complains?
Yeah,
you know, like, I hope not. I hope they have the wherewithal to know that at some point you tell the players like you're being an idiot.
Yeah.
Like,
don't be like that. Yeah. I think I absolutely agree, and I think I think that would be a legitimate concern. I guess maybe more so hoping that that's not the way it's going to go.
Me too.
Yeah. So I guess we'll see. So because I can buy a chapter approved every year.
Yeah, exactly.
But I don't want to have to like download a new FAQ every 3 seconds.
So changing subject, what have you been up to?
Yeah,
what have I been saying? Oh, jeez, yeah.
I detoured us a little bit there.
That was me.
Yeah, it was all good. I've been playing a ton of games because I've been trying to make sure I've got a nice backlog before I go on this big trip.
Yeah. So you should be really against frequent updates, because with your backlog, people are just like, "Hey, you got this rule wrong."
Yeah, that happens. Like, I had one where I had filmed a game and it was ready to come out, and literally the day before it comes out, they changed the FAQ with the flyer thing, and it was like literally the next day I put out this battle report. And there was a point where like it was only flyers, and I was like, oh boy. And people were like, well, you actually won at the end of turn. I'm like, I know, but the FAQ wasn't out. We would like it would have been different if like, you know, like, but it's like one of those things where it was like, yeah, I definitely don't want every 2 weeks those come out. But yeah, so I've been playing a bunch of games. I was in the tournament. I was on, on the stream, so I came in 7th in that tournament, which was kind of cool. Out of 29 people, there was a ton.
It was a really
there.
good turnout.
Yeah, so I came in 7th out of that, which was kind of cool. So
you're working on your Gene Stealers a little bit?
Working on a little bit of my Gene Stealers. I built the Armored Sentinel that came out like way better than I even thought it was going to.
The little graffiti X over the Imperials.
Yeah.
Super cool.
Yeah, I thought that. There's a lot of people who were like, oh, you should have just chiseled it off. I'm like, no, I thought it was fun to think that these were like in the motor pool, and then as the uprising came, like they just like jumped up and they just like crossed off the
arts and crafts hour real quick. Hold on, we have the chisel.
Yeah, it's like, exactly. Yeah, they're not going to sit there and like chisel for
like,
5 hours.
The way I see Gene Stealer Uprising, when they start pulling out Lehman Russes and things like that, they're not going to be like, okay, we're going to go join the battle, but right after I unwheel this Imperial Eagle on the side of my tank.
It's like they could stick like their emblem on it, and like they're going to cross out like the Aquila, and then just like start firing at everybody around them. Like that's my headcanon of what's going on like during the uprising. So I was like, that's like a kind of cool thing, because I actually started that little bit when I was originally thinking about building a gang for before they came out with Shadow Wars. When I was thinking about building a gang for Necromunda.
Oh, okay.
And I built up and painted these guys. I took like old metal Imperial Guardsmen, and I had like all the different, like I had Talaran, I had Valhallans, I had Catachan, and I painted them all. And my story behind them was that they were deserters that had found refuge like in the lower levels of a hive city, and they'd gathered to you don't desert the guard. You know what I mean? So like they had to like run and hide in like the lower levels of these places. So, and I had on their emblems, I did like the red X, and I did that again for this, and I liked it better than trying to. Yeah, exactly. And I liked it better than just scraping it off. It seemed kind of cool.
You make your personal fluff be like the musical Oliver. Where the little orphan Imperial guards run away and are taught how to pickpocket by a 4-armed Fagin. Or even just call your Magus Fagin.
That would be cool. Yeah. Please, sir, can I have some more DACA?
More? Can I have some more arms?
Yeah. More? Yeah. Yeah. So that was so he came out really cool, and I ended up magnetizing all of the options there because I'm cheap, especially when it comes to vehicles. Okay. And I'm like, as opposed to buying and building like 6 different armored sentinels to get all the different choices on there. I was like, I'm just going to spend the time to like magnetize these things.
$3 for magnets, versus a whole like $30 kit. I don't know.
Exactly.
I'm in the $30 kit.
Yeah, exactly. And then and like for some people, if they get the kit and they're like, this is the optimal loadout, this is what I want from my list, that works.
Sure.
But I make so many different lists that I want the ability to be like, I want to run a heavy flamer on this one.
Yeah.
Now I want a las cannon. Now I want an auto cannon. Now I want multi-laser. Now a plasma cannon,
so
because I like blowing myself up.
I think all my sentinels, I did the exact same
Yeah.
thing where like you magnetize them, and it's super simple.
It's really
easy.
simple.
Like the weapons are light to where they're not like too front heavy or whatever.
Exactly,
So.
and they hold up pretty well, and they look decently.
I did the scatter laser squad is actually shuriken cannons.
No, nice, yeah.
That's my laziness.
Yeah, and I mean, and that's fine. I don't know. That's
better
that's
than us. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, magnetizing master race.
The Führer has chosen magnets.
Exactly. Like, and the thing is, like, I don't magnetize my regular guys because to me, I've got no problem buying another little Marine and putting a different gun on him. That to me seems
that's
okay.
excessive.
Yeah, that's like that to me. I don't want to have to go through the process of magnetizing every single dude, bro. But for vehicles, for me, it's just like it's easy enough that I can just like boop boop, you know. And I've magnetized my my Predators, and I've literally never run the autocannon, but I can if I want to.
So there,
exactly.
I'll take that.
Yeah, and actually with 8th edition, I might look into doing it because apparently they're pretty good in 8th edition. Yeah. But yeah, so that's what I've been doing. I've been doing them. I painted up some Reavers, the push fit ones. So I've been talking about. Yeah, they look pretty cool. I've been excited about them. I did some minor modifications. Nothing on the
What do you
on the
think
level
you'll
of
do
tech.
for both of you guys? Since we don't have custom shoulder pads yet, and especially with like a lot of them, like we're still in the push fit with your guys. Like, are you going to do transfers? I know we kind of talked a little bit about this, John. But...
I will never do transfers.
Now they also have. I thought that was kind of neat. They have just like the symbols like you can get from Shapeways.
Shapeways. That's the one I was about to say. Yeah,
John
Miller did those on his, and they look super
Yeah,
good.
so I might get those, but I like the fact that if I really wanted to, I could play my army as lamenters.
Oh,
or Imperial Fists, or things like that. And that's terrible. I know. It's like, I can't run
White Scars.
Yeah, I could pick up.
What's the new hotness? Is it Salamanders? Are they going to be the new hotness?
Yeah,
back to the
I see what you did with the
Waka.
pun. The
pun. Hotness. Hey.
There you go, Adam.
You got your quota in there.
Damn it! Yeah, it's all your fault.
I just paint my my emblem on there. It's not the best, and I imagine that if Duncan saw it, he would have a heart attack.
Yeah,
but
he'd stop painting.
He would. It would cause him to stop painting.
Duncan would very gently tell you did a good job,
and then go home and drink heavily.
Slowly take you out to the barn with a canister of paint thinner.
He'd look at the other guys at Warhammer at Games Workshop, and they'd be like, no, he's mine. He's my responsibility, and take me back behind the barn, old Yeller style.
Just to get old like Warhammer TV Rob and just be like, no, he's like, this one's my responsibility.
Yeah, exactly.
I should have taught him better.
But I mean, it does a good enough job for me. And from like the 3 feet away that you usually see them, they look real good.
So continue doing it.
Yeah, so I've just been hand painting them. On there, but I've been the Shapeways. I might be looking into that because that looks super cool. Yeah. I saw the ones that, like I said, John did, and they look good. They look really good.
Think of that. That's
and they're like
who's
they're curved.
One of our
so
guys, Darnell. Is that his name?
Yeah. Oh yes.
I think he did
up in the valley,
too,
right?
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, I've heard. They look cool. So I might look into doing that going forward, but. Because I don't think they're super expensive either, which is kind of cool. Yeah, I've heard they're not.
Like one of them was at least Darnell's. I think the pack he got, like, it's clear plastic, and when he glued it on, I thought it looked really cool, like having that like translucent kind of look.
That would be cool.
I enjoy that because then I wouldn't have to paint it.
Yeah, I feel like with those, like with most emblems, it's like you could just spray them on the on the sprue and just like clip them out and like touch them up a little bit, like wherever the clip marks are. It would probably be easy enough to do that. So
that's smart.
Yeah. So because most emblems, unless you're like White Scars,
did you find them?
$18 for 60.
Damn,
so
that's a lot. I mean, a lot of emblems.
Yeah, a lot of emblems for
not
just
much.
$18. Yeah, seriously.
that's
That's,
okay.
I think I need to spend like 40, but
yeah, but I mean, yeah, but that's $40 for your entire army. You know what I mean?
That's a
Remember
legion.
when they had like when they were coming out with like the expanders to get like from 24 to 32 millimeters?
yeah.
It was like $18 for 3 or
Oh,
something.
jeez.
Those were like way more expensive than these ones. And granted, these are like tiny little pieces of plastic for it, but yeah.
Was that on Shapeways? They had expanders? Or
I don't know if it was
that...
Shapeways. I just remember seeing when they were first coming out with 32. I looked into it because I was like, oh, I've got a bunch of these, and I looked and I'm like, nope, I could just break them off.
I know I mentioned it before. Like, there's the what is it? The secret weapon. Like, they have the base expanders. Those are really cool.
Yeah. I just ended up.
I want to
like,
get a few of
breaking
those
them
and
off.
like just do like a comparison video to see like what they all kind of end up looking. Because there's like the kind that like slot down into it, and there's the kind of like
that
the
latch
2Cs
around, like
and, various kinds.
Yeah.
So.
It would be
Although
kinda
I think like Kurt, like he got a bunch of just like circles of MDF and like glued his models onto that.
That's cool.
Like totally low budget, but you're like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's this. That's,
Yeah, and then
that's how much
then
space
he
to
did
take.
like the snow flocking. Oh no,
Not yet.
Oh, okay,
Oh.
not yet. Because he was talking
No,
about
he
doing
did
snow
some of
flocking to
them,
make
I
it look
think.
like they're just
Yeah.
like on a hill of snow, which
Yeah,
works.
it's a circular plateau.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I like that. I like that. Yeah, I've just been buying 32 millimeter bases and then breaking them off because especially the slotted base, it's really easy to just like press them from the side and they just like snap in half, and then you just cut off the slot and you just glue them on top of the 32 millimeter. So that's what I've been going with. Yeah, that's been easy enough. As needed, I've been doing that going forward. So each time I make like a tournament list that needs more of my regular bolter bros on 32s, that's when I break them off. And put
I
them
would
in.
feel bad for Kurt if he decided to do that, you know, because like I mean he's had his space wolves for the last like 30 years, you know. Like,
Yeah.
all right, I'm gonna rebase like 900 miniatures. Like, oh fuck.
Yeah. Like I said,
and that's how Ted paid rent.
Got it, bro.
yeah, that's
Thanks for being an engineer.
Yeah, that was definitely one of my things where I was like, I looked at it and they were like, people were like, well, I'm rebasing my entire army. I'm like, I have neither the time, patience, nor money to rebase my entire army. I will do it as needed as I go forward. So yeah.
Yeah,
But
I'm just glad I didn't start my Marines before that happened.
Yeah.
Because I'm just like, cool story, bro.
I've been 32 from the beginning.
Yeah, there was only a few I had to do with the adjustments.
Yeah.
Oh, God, thanks.
Yeah, exactly. That's
Anyway,
kind of my thought.
Well, let's take a quick break.
Yes.
Yes, we
That was a really
so
long-
long.
Well, it's because we've been super hobbyish.
We have some super help.
But we
We're
have
so
a
sorry.
big subject for.
We
We
do.
do. We have a couple of chunky ones coming right up.
To the objective, my brother. With haste, we must recover the chapter master before the vile Tyranids devour him, and all hope for our chapter's future.
I fear it is too late, brother, for look on the horizon. An incoming monster heads for our honorable leader.
We can still make it.
No, brother, there is no hope. He's gone now.
God damn it, Dave.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Bellies are full.
Bellies are so full.
This week was teriyaki chicken. I think.
Oh.
It's like a pulled chicken.
Yum.
I don't know, whatever
It
it was.
was a
delicious.
pulled chicken with some rice.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of a new segment is what did we eat tonight?
What's on the grill?
Before we kind of touch
Oh,
on...
and sausage cupcakes. Maple sausage cupcakes.
Maple sausage.
sausage?
That's when it's
Oh,
nice.
Yeah.
were
Did you
tasty.
notice that, huh?
I noticed there was like meat. I thought maybe
Okay.
bacon, but I like it. It was tasty. Thank you, Ted, for that.
Yeah, it was good. But no, before we move on to kind of our main topic of today, which is that first legion, those dark angels. I want to really just check in real quick because as we were talking about earlier, when I was building that Redemptor Dreadnought, I got and I messaged you guys, I messaged all my friends, I messaged on Twitter, all the things. It's like
Redemptor-boner?
how Redemptor boner I had.
Okay.
You got a swole tempter.
I got a swole tempter because it was super satisfying to build. Like as it was coming together, I mean, I don't know, but the way it was like the instructions made, it was very satisfying seeing all the bits fall into place.
Yeah.
And like the shoulders and the kind of the booby plates are like individual pieces. But there's like I'm usually sitting there and like I'll have like a little pile of plastic kind of dust in front of me from like scraping off little mold lines. There's not a single mold line on that damn model.
Okay.
Really?
I scraped 0 mold lines off that model.
Oh.
serious? Wow.
For serious. And like the gentleman who designed it, he was saying he spends a lot of time kind of thinking about mold line placement, and it shows in that one there because it's redonkulously good.
That's
Okay.
awesome.
So I think
Who
I
was
did
it?
the
Tom-
repulsor. Tom Walton.
Tom Walton, yeah, based on a Jess Goodwin joint.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that had me thinking: what are some of the like kind of the best models? And this is a very open question.
Yeah.
The best model that gets put together, the one that needs the least work done to it, the best one to paint.
Jeff the Custode was the best model
that I've ever seen.
Yeah,
I mean,
I look
yeah.
forward to putting one of those together.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to be coming up with rules for Jeff.
Nice.
Because
Yeah.
there's no way that he should survive without some kind of special rules. And I really want him to do like a power mop.
I know that was.
I just want to make a rule
that
that I think that like when fleeing or going from combat, you subtract 2 from your movement because they slip on the shiny floor.
that works.
I like that.
On a 1, they get a mortal wound.
On a one, they take just a regular win with an armor save from like slipping in wet water.
Oh, man, it's gotta be a mortal wound.
Yeah,
You gotta
mortal
make
wound,
it,
man.
Yeah, it's gotta be.
I got to keep it balanced though, otherwise people won't
Screw
want to play
that.
as Jeff. Jeff, 700 points, Lord of War. I mean,
Yes.
it's tempting.
Yeah.
I like it.
But yeah, what are some like so Redemptor for me right now is like, oh god, I have huge love for that kid.
Oh, I gotta put one of those together.
Ted, what's one for you that you really really enjoy?
I think the classic Imperial Knight. I think I always have a lot of fun.
Oh
putting
man,
it
that's
together.
another
I put quite a few of them together. so-
another Tom Walton joint right there.
Was it really him? Oh snap!
I read in an interview with him there that he said that he tried to get kind of a Victorian aesthetic to a lot of it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Looks very steampunky.
It does.
There's
But
all
yeah,
the
you,
buttresses and all the little gargoyles and
and
stuff.
you put together a ton of Imperial Knights.
Yeah, so I mean, I just love the amount of detail, and I guess did he do the repulsor too? Or
Yes.
okay, I mean, we have that sitting here too. And I don't think I enjoyed that one quite as much, although I enjoy it a lot more than I do like the Land Raider and like some of the other kits. And I mean, at that point, like they weren't exactly using like CAD to put them together, so it was kind of like, this should probably work versus CAD. But I think like the amount of detail and like the little fiddly things, like the handrails going up the side of the knight, and then just like the little pistons and everything. I was always very happy with that. I was kind of bummed that they have the left foot in, put your left foot out, like everybody's in the same pose.
Now,
but it doesn't take much to chop it up and like make it like.
And now I read
pose.
an interview in White Dwarf with the design team as a whole, and they said their goal is for every miniature, like you should be able to look at a miniature right away. And it should tell a story, and you should know about it. You know? And so, from my read on that, with Imperial Knight, it's meant to be big, intimidating, imposing.
Yeah.
And I feel having that stance achieves that. I don't feel like if you have something like an Eldar Wraith Knight, which also he helped design.
Yeah.
Okay.
It doesn't read the same.
It doesn't read the
Yeah.
same as
Yeah.
this kind
Yeah.
of. And the Imperial Knight was the first super heavy. That was the first,
Second.
the second, but like.
Third.
The thing they did with that kit in plastic
Yeah.
is that like kind of it was the first shit they made that
Yeah.
like the Shadow Sword, the Bane Blade, we're like cool,
Stampa.
that's awesome, they made giant
Yeah.
things, cool, they made a giant Stampa, but like when you see that Imperial Knight kit, you're like shit, I can't believe they made that there.
Yeah, I mean, as much hype as the Baneblade got and the Stampa got, like the Knight was definitely like the blew them all out of the water for sure.
For sure.
But I mean, they stepped up their game in a lot of ways with that one. Like even with the Baneblade, like that's a really nice kit. Like I thoroughly, I was looking for a third one. Maybe I'll just use the Baneblade as my third. But it's I don't know. I mean, it has a lot of detail and all that stuff.
Yeah, for sure. And I also think it's that was a big. It was almost like a step up where you had the Titans that you had before, but that was always like something far separated. It was almost like a whole different thing than 40K. Like that, if you're playing standard 40K, it was like a whole different
Apocalypse.
thing. Apocalypse stuff. You know what I mean? And you had the Baneblade, and it was like, that's like a big tank. That's cool. You had the Stampa, and it's like, okay, that's cool. But and it's very orky. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it with the putting in the Imperial Knight, it was like a big it was like a big step up to what it was, and the big step up, and it was like, oh,
Funny
snap.
that we're all
That was
using the
really
word
cool.
step up in this.
Yeah,
we just talked about his level.
almost like a Captain Morgan style step up.
I feel it was more of a stoic, solid 2 foot on the ground. But no, that was again. I think that was a turning point for DK as well, as a game where the super heavies started to come in too.
Yeah,
Because up until that point, I mean, was it the Baneblade and stuff like that? You could use them with escalation, but like there was so much salt and like so much like controversy.
I don't think the
for
rules,
sure.
the rules for the Baneblade and the Stompa, they were only in the Apocalypse book at that
Yeah, I
point.
think so.
Escalation came out.
Escalation,
and that
that's right,
one.
that's right.
like,
Escalation came out at the same time as Imperial Knights.
I thought it came out first because I don't think the Knights were in it.
Did,
I
yeah,
think it
pretty
came
sure.
out
Oh no,
before,
no,
yeah,
you're
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was the end
Escalation
of
was the end of
six.
six, yeah.
Yeah, but that was like once again, like people didn't really use it though. That
Yeah.
was the thing. It's
Yeah.
like that came out and like immediately they were like, nope. Or else like ITC had extra rules where you get points, extra victory points if you kill one.
Yeah.
And, they really nerfed it, like dropped the D. Everybody, but it was like, it was special characters in 3rd edition where you're like special characters, and everybody had this like
Hero Hammer.
yeah, exactly. And so they didn't want to use them, even though they were not underpowered, but
Yeah.
they just weren't.
Yeah.
So anyway, so.
Yeah,
What's
that's
your
cool.
kit?
My kit? So I think, honestly, I've been the most excited about the Gene Stealer cult stuff that they've been coming out with. I really like that they went with that very different aesthetic, because it could have been easy
Is there a particular model you're thinking of, or
No, honestly, I was thinking the like the mining dudes. So both the acolytes and the neophyte hybrids. Those guys especially are just like super cool looking, and honestly they use that aesthetic quite a bit in a lot of the different stuff they do. I just really like that they went with like a theme, like a really hard and interesting theme for it, and you can see it through that whole line of stuff that they did there.
Oh, okay.
So like the mining look with the different kind of suits that they have on there, and it, like you said, you look at that model and it tells a story, and it tells the story of these miners like rising up, grabbing the weapons, and just rising up against the
One of my
against the
favorite
people.
things about that range, and like I said, that's one of my top 3 vehicle kits, is the
Rock grinder,
the rock grinder and the
love
Goliath.
that thing. Yeah,
Because all Imperial vehicles are blocky, and inside and all that. The rock and the Goliath, that adds one curve to the front of the truck, and it makes it look so unique and alien and different and weird.
yeah.
And makes it look both Imperial and Gene Stealer at the same time.
yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
okay.
Yeah,
So while you're copying kind of the square aesthetic and kind of the blocky aesthetic with 99% of the truck, there's literally one curve right prominently at the front.
Yep.
And that instantly tells you that's different.
Yep, and it reads as like as a civilian vehicle that's been pre-opted to, or taken over to be used for this method, which is kind of cool, like you said. And I definitely agree with that. I think that's really cool that they kind of did that. They made it like with just adding that one curve, making it very much that this is not an Imperial military vehicle. All of them have like a very like, you look at a Lehman Russ, you look at a Rhino, like there are major differences, but there's enough
Lines.
similarities. There's enough lines that you can read them as an Imperial vehicle.
I think it also takes a lot from like the large off-road dump trucks and stuff like that.
Yes, absolutely.
So like that brutalist, very like blocky, muscular kind of body shape.
Yeah, very utilitarian usage for it's like civilian work load that they're doing. Yeah, so I agree. And I think that even like they're like the regular dude bros, they have that same kind of aesthetic thing where it's like you look at them and you're like, yeah, these are miners that have now risen up against the the establishment.
I think that's kind of cool. Like
cool.
you're like, that is definitely like, I think like one of the first armies where I felt like I really saw that. Like Dark Eldar, I think also had like a really distinct, interesting like narrative to them too. I think for me that was probably the first maybe. And then,
for sure.
like that beautiful like mining aesthetic with a Gene Stealer cult. Like if they weren't lame, I would totally get an army.
Power Gamer Tad. Sorry, your army's too underpowered this edition.
That's right.
Yeah.
I'll be over here with my orcs.
Ironically, a statement you can realistically make because they are very strong. I just want to say.
Yeah, but I got to say that that's probably the ones most recently that I've been most taken by. So
I am going to add in the humble Space Marine.
Just the regular ass tactical
Just
marine.
a regular ass tactical marine. Because you know why?
Classic.
If I buy a box of Devastators and I have leftover Devastator weapons, they can swap right into any Space Marine kit.
Yes, yes, yes.
I can use my tactical Marines, my Devastator squads, or my assault squads, my tactical squads. I can use a chest piece from a Space Wolf on the back of a Blood Angel. The interactivity of that entire range is mind blowing.
That's true.
Like I said, like if I buy a tactical box and a Devastator box, I can make literally every single Marine. I can like double the amount of Devastators I have.
Yep, absolutely. And you can build all of the heavy weapons from that box with a tactical Marine squad.
Yeah,
for sure. And I've done that. So
I mean, for the longest time, like that's how they did it because it was like a metal plastic hybrid.
Yeah,
yeah, because it started like a solid metal model, and then we had kind of our 2-part Bolter Marines from like Second Edition.
Oh yeah,
and then like late '90s,
chest.
late '90s, and I still have a ton. I actually have a couple. I think I gave you one, like the Dark Angel one that I had, where it's like metal body, metal legs, metal head, and you switch out the arms.
Yep.
And I just remember I constantly glued my fingers to the arms so goddamn much.
So much.
But yeah, the whole fact that this range has been designed so you can pick and choose as you please is your chapter, your specific like Ultima Founding chapter. Well, that wouldn't count as a Primaris, but are they like Space Wolf Blood Angel hybrids?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, just buy 2 boxes and mix all the shit together. It works. I mean, maybe it look like crap, but all the parts kind of interconnect.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then that means we can get a Forge World where if I want to just buy a torso, I can just buy a torso. So like, I think that as an aesthetic and kind of a sales thing is amazing.
Yeah, and from a technical standpoint, that's really cool that they've given that kind of consideration because it would be really easy for them to be like, nope, you have to buy a tactical squad. They're very different, and that's the only things that fit for this.
If you look at the Primaris, where like so far we've got with like the and I know it's like the starter box stuff, but like the intercessors and like the Hellblasters, they are not interchangeable at all.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I didn't put it together, so I didn't.
yeah. They're very separate. They're distinct.
They're very separate and distinct. Whereas, like I said, the plastic, your good old plastic regular Marine has so much mileage because that Marine can be a Devastator. It can be an assault. It can be anything you want it to be. Yeah. If I get a box of tactical Marines and I like shape waste some chainsaws, then I have a box of assault Marines without jump packs. This is like so.
Yep, absolutely. And you can also like trade bits that work across different things. So if someone had a whole bunch of extra bits for their Blood Angels or whatever, and you're like, I'm not making any Blood Angels, and someone else is like, well, I've got these other tactical Marines. You can just change shoulder pads, and suddenly now that guy gets his cool shoulder pads that are Blood Angels. You get plain shoulder pads to make up your whatever chapter you're going to do, and it works like that. You don't have to worry about like being like, oh, well, I don't know if this kit's going to fit. I mean, I supplemented a bunch of my Death Watch stuff with regular Marines. Like they're slightly bigger because they made them slightly bigger with the Death Watch Marines, but all of their stuff still fits on the regular torsos still when you bring it down a bit. So I think the fact that they've continued that kind of interchangeability between all of them.
I think like awesome. Something that I was just thinking about this earlier today, which now that I say that, I almost think like, what do I think? When do I not think about GW? As I sit here on the GW
Definitely
podcast,
not while pooping.
I mean, I spent most of the day researching Dark Angels, but I mean, like that's something that I enjoy. Like like I love grabbing kits that are not for what I'm doing, and then like using them for something else, I've got a lot of mileage. I bought the what was it, the Black Templar set because I love like the chains around the wrist holding your weapon on. You carve off the little like iron cross, and now it's good to go. And every once in a while, like a new Space Marine kit will come out, like a Space Wolves. Buy Space Wolves, and now all of a sudden, like I have like some loincloths with some
pelts and stuff.
Yeah, and I think for like the Flesh Tearers, that's great because like part of their rite of passage is going and taking down the biggest beast in the woods and killing it. Like it doesn't have to be a man that turned into a wolf because of some fucked up mutation. It was a fuzzy insectoid thing. Yeah, they killed.
It was very cute, and it was an infant. It had no chance.
It just happened to be the biggest one he could find.
I don't think there's like a single model company that has a range that is so interchangeable.
Yeah, I mean, none that I know of.
Yeah,
so.
And that's like at
least
17 years of continual, following this design code.
Yeah,
I think a lot of that goes to the fact that I think like Jess Goodwin has solidly been like the helm of this range for a long, long time.
Yeah.
Like I think I was saying to you this week that like I've seen his sketches come out. Like I bought the art book for Gathering Storm and all this other stuff. And seeing his sketch of the Primaris Chaplain, I was like, I would pay good money for just a Jess Goodwin sketchbook. If he collected, I don't even care if it's like, yeah, we're never going to use these, or we might use these. You know, give me stuff I've already seen. I don't care. Like I said, that kind of single vision, I think, has super helped that range over the years.
For sure.
Ted.
I think the next one is the Dark Angel bike set. You're right.
Yeah,
I think the thing that I liked about that was, the Space Marine bikes have been in dire need of revision for a while.
Yeah,
and like that answer to it was beautiful. Like I love the exhaust pipes on it. Like I love there's a lot of stuff to that kit.
Yeah,
and it's not a whole. I don't remember it being a whole lot more expensive than the regular 3-man bike.
So the Dark Angel bike is different than the regular bike.
It's like an additional sprue of extra bits. Like they've got like the back thing that comes.
I'm sorry, the Knights. The
Black Knights.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
Because you're right. There is like the old upgrade set
Yeah.
that I think it came with the upgrade sprue from like 15 years ago or whatever.
Yeah,
but then there's the Knight one.
Yeah, the Knights.
And that one's cool because it has like the apothecary. Like you have like all the different like possible, because it's like
Banner
3
Bearer
different
and
kits or 3 different options, right? Like
you could do
Black Knights.
It was the Black
Command
Knights
Squad.
and the Command Squad was the main thing they got. Well, but the Command Squad has like a Ravenwing champion. It's got the Ravenwing Banner Bearer, and it's got the apothecary. So you've got all of those guys. Plus, you could do on any of just the regular Black Knights. So you've got like the Corvus hammers, you've got the other weapons that you can get.
Which, if you combine with the tactical box and a Dark Angel's upgrade sprue,
Yeah.
It's the same thing. I've definitely used some of the swords that come with that kit from the Black Knight kit onto regular guys because the arms are arms and they fit on all that.
That's like
really
my Iron Hands. Like I bought a regular 3-man bike squad, then I bought like that kit, and I think it was a lot of those the big axes that a lot of my guys have. They're just like they're just power axes made out of plastic card, other stuff. But it's the Corvus hammer as the base, and like I just take like a cut wheel on a Dremel and like make a quick little incision, and then I can slide in a piece of plastic card in there, and it's the axe. You know? And I think like with a lot of the different options, like. Oh man, yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it is.
All the
really
Corvus helmets.
Yep. All the different helmets.
Cool.
I love it with the pointy beak helmets. They got a lot of those. Yeah, I've been a big fan of that squad, that kit as well. And I've done a lot. And what's kind of cool about them too is there are upgrades onto, like, they have different things, but they are upgrades onto the basic Marine bike kit, because you can. I've taken extra bikes that I've had and I've converted it relatively easily into more Black Knights because I wanted to run some more Black Knights. So it comes with extra bits that you can do, because you can put in you can run everyone with the plasma talons, or you could run some people with the you can run a guy with the grenade launcher. And so I just took the front bit, the front plate bit. It changes out with all of the other front plate bits, and then you just put on the back like the wing thing on the back of them that they come with it. And the kit is interchangeable with the other regular bike kits, like you said, and it works out pretty well.
That's like, I've put together a lot of Space Marine armies in my time. But so I have like a lot of the extra, like the fairing that goes on the front from like regular kits. So I didn't have to use that one. And
for sure.
Of course, I'm making like my own fairing with that, like the back side of the Typhoon missile launcher is the front grill, because you need a front grill to your motorcycle that's nowhere near the engine.
Yeah,
like, that makes sense.
And now we know Ted read 2000 AD today.
Well, where do you think this bike design came from? That was Judge Dredd, motherfucker.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So anyway, that's my second.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Because it's Dark Angels.
Yeah, I was going to say. And continuing along with the Dark Angels, I'm a big fan of the.
Hand it to me.
Exactly.
It's my last day, guys.
Exactly. I'm a big fan of the Dark Angels flyer kit. I just think it's one of the coolest looking flyer kits that they have there. They've got like the wings have the Dark Angels emblem wings on them, and they've got like the little castle bit in the middle is like
a little weird.
It's a little weird, but I think just like generally the shape and everything, because if you have the Nephilim, it doesn't have that middle part. So
it's dawned on me that it's like an homage to The Rock.
Yep. Well, that's exactly what it is. Yeah, that's why you also have like on the Dark Shroud, that's why they have like that little bit there that's supposed to be like an icon from The Rock. It's like a piece of The Rock that goes with it that does all the fancy stuff. So
that's awesome. It's like own like
I think the technical term is warp taint.
No, fancy stuff. We call it fancy stuff.
Yeah. So the parneum, the taint,
fancy
the
stuff. But So
new war gear for Jeff. The parneum of the Emperor.
But yeah, I really I like that kit. I just think it's a cool aesthetic. It's also again, like we talked about, like it definitely reads as a marine vehicle, but it's distinctly different. Like you look at it and you instantly know, you can recognize it as a Nephilim or Dark Talon instantly. But
I
compared
couldn't
to
tell the difference between the two, but yes.
No, but yeah, exactly. Between the two, you might have more difficulty, but from the instant you look at it, you know that it's not a Storm Talon. You know that it's not a Storm Raven. You know what I mean? Like you see it and it's got a very distinct look to it, but you look at it and you're instantly like, this is definitely a marine vehicle. This isn't like,
I was
some
super
kind of LR
tempted to
thing.
get one and make it into like a Storm Talon. Because, like I said, it looks way better to me than the Storm Talon
Me too.
does.
I think it definitely looks better, and I think it's one of the better looking flyers in the game. To be.
Yeah, for sure.
John,
My last one here. Man, I have a couple to choose from here.
Yeah?
So many good things.
Is that a spreadsheet of all your favorite models that you're looking at?
It's a Word document.
Number 432 is
The Gorkanaut Morkanaut kit in general.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was really tempted to put that on my list too.
It's a really fun kit to build. And it's full of so many stupid details.
How many did you put together? 2 or 3?
I just put together 2. You put together
Okay.
like 4.
No, I have never actually finished one.
that's because the Red Wa made you so angry with them.
Why won't you die?
And now that like the Gorkanauts decidedly, thank you, Phil,
Yeah.
more
So good.
more Bedrester than the Morkanaut.
Yeah,
But yeah, so many and it's like, to me, it's like the quintessential orc vehicle because it looks like an orc god.
Yeah.
There's things that make literally no sense. Like, I can see the mech designing it and be like, and then you can travel in here. But how do I get out? Well, it's going to take you some time to get out. How many of us can fit in here? Well, meg armor, 3 of you. But, so like, but that makes sense because, like, an orc be like, well, I guess we'll just fuck.
Yeah.
Doors, sure.
Yeah.
And then, like, my favorite detail in the whole thing. Well, there's 2. There's the one orc gunner on the very top firing like the big shooter or the rockets.
With no legs.
With no legs, who's just really, really tightly crammed into this tiny little slot, just crazily pressing the fire button. And then the favorite part is on the Gorkanaut, which I would use on the Morkanaut. The Gatling cannon is controlled by an orc on the back of the gun, which I honestly
awesome.
believe he has no control over which direction it goes. I
just
believe
pressing the
he's just
button.
pressing fire.
Yeah.
So he's like moving around like an early 90s VR Universal Studio ride, trying to shoot everything. It was super impressive, and it kicked off like the new orc range that came out a couple years back. And like I said, the flash kits, another honorable mention there came out then. And then it's a great kit. Lots of character. Ted.
Another kit that I haven't finished.
Shit, we thought that would narrow stuff down.
Well, I think it was the mech big gun.
Oh yes,
because I
yes.
think there is like so much detail
Looks
in that
so
too.
cool.
Yeah, like,
Looks so cool.
yeah, if I ever finish it, I'll be very happy.
I have 3 of them, I think.
Yeah? Okay.
I wanted a full squad of 5, but they're like $40 each
Yeah,
or
they're
something like that.
ridiculously expensive.
Oh my god! But then you look at the sprue, and there's so many options.
It's a big kit for like a field gun.
Yeah.
It's-
And then like I assembled one, I painted one. I was like, yeah, this looks really good on. That's 23 points.
yeah, exactly. That's a little painful.
I think it's one of the few kits where the dollar cost almost doubles the point value.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is fantastic.
Yeah.
Can come down a little bit.
Take us home, Phil.
So my final one is a classic. Once again, kind of I guess a throwback to your standard Marine, but mine is the Rhino
Right.
chassis.
Oh.
I thought about doing that one.
The Rhino chassis.
Just because it's so versatile and what they've done with it, they've made it everything from a basic, metal box that gets your guys up the field to a metal box with a big gun on it to just big guns to other specialty guns, and they've just used that same
Anti-aircraft
big guns, whatever it is.
Anti-Gretchen bigger guns.
Yep, exactly.
Smaller guns.
With rocket
like
launchers.
the anti-air thing.
Yeah, they've done everything with that chassis, and it's classic, and it's awesome that they can use it that way. And if you build them, like a cheap person like I am, and you want to use it as much as possible, my Predators have been used on the table as predators. They've been used as rhinos. They've been used as razorbacks. Like
because
they all
everything
work,
you
because
need
everything
for a
you need.
rhino comes in that box, and you
Yep.
just don't glue one thing.
Yep,
And that's something
exactly.
that I learned too. Like early on, was like I haven't bought a regular rhino in forever. It's just like
Razorbacks.
either buy the razorback or the predator.
Yeah,
And,
exactly.
like, yeah,
and you just have it on there, and it comes with all. It's just and the thinking about it that way, where you have an entire line of vehicles for your Marines, and that you just mass produce the rhino kit, and then you throw in an extra sprue for whatever it is. If it's a razorback, you throw in that extra gun sprue on the top. If it's a predator, you put out the extra sponsons and the main gun on top and that sprue in there, and it's like, that's really good. That's excellent thinking, and it look cool. And because of the fact that they literally use the same chassis, your army looks cohesive and it looks nice and it looks awesome.
A business perspective, having to design one tank,
and
how much
and then
money
you have
did that make
30.
them?
Yep.
I mean, that's just good common sense.
That
too.
is very good common sense. So yeah,
I love it.
and that's a big fan. That's my roundup on
that's a
that
good
one.
one.
To round up in
It's
that,
like
I have some honorable mentions. I'm just
okay.
going to run through here real quick. The Imperial Assassin models, the new ones.
Yes,
Gorgeous.
absolutely. Super gorgeous.
And an honorable mention kind of combined with that is the Harlequins, because that's when we first started seeing kind of scenery coming with those individual characters.
Yep,
kind of like
absolutely.
a little bit of detail on the base.
Yeah, more like extra
Dynamic,
poses. You
Which
know, like
I don't have a problem with, like single pose models as long as it's dynamic.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
all of those were just super
yeah.
cool. Lots of
Although the Calidus Assassin was a little bit of a pain to put together. That thing is very fiddly.
Oh yeah,
her
that's for
hair
sure.
Yeah,
snapped
her
off
hair.
mine.
too.
Oh, wow.
Mine did too, and I had
So
to,
now
I had
mine
to
is
glue it back in.
bald.
Yeah, I had to glue mine back. I had to glue
Cut
mine
off
on,
in battle.
so- Yeah, exactly.
The Tyrannid Tyrannocyte.
Oh, okay.
The drop pod.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was the first one I noticed where like an active there was an active effort to hide mold lines in
Yeah.
the
Oh.
way it's
Yep,
assembled.
yep.
I kind of started noticing that we're starting to angle in instead of having like straight edges and things like
Okay.
Yep.
that. The Forge World Contemptor. The single most posable model. The reason
That
it
was
didn't make
good.
it because I hate assembling them because everything is separate, everything is posable.
Yeah.
Every time I've assembled one, it looks constipated because the legs are straight or whatever like
Yeah.
that. But having that option to just make it do anything, karate kick, you can do it.
Yeah.
Like flying body slam, yeah, you can probably model it to
Yeah,
do that
okay.
there too.
Yeah, and that's and
On
kind
the-
of-
oh, go ahead.
no, you go ahead.
Oh, I think the Achilles. I think the oh god, was it the Custodes Achilles dreadnought?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's like 4 different hands in there. They have like the open palm,
And
like
none of them flipping the bird.
none of them flipping the bird. Like hold
Missed
it.
opportunity.
There's like 3 different ways to hold the spear,
Yeah.
and then you put the spear in there. I mean, it felt like a Gundam model.
Yeah,
Like, it
that's
was
awesome.
amazing.
And then the final honorable mention would be the Shadow Wars Armageddon terrain.
Oh yes, that looks so
Ooh,
nice.
Going terrain.
Yeah, that
That's
looks super
interesting.
nice.
Because like I assembled on mine, and then the designer, I think Dranfield, right? Ray Dranfield, posted, "Oh yeah, here's all the secret stuff this terrain can do." And I'm like, "Oh my god, it all links up with everything!"
Wow.
Like,
Literally
everything's
links up with
like
everything.
It's the same length as the Promethean pipes. This thing here can connect to this thing here.
Holy math.
Yeah,
And they've
and that's
they've-
the thing.
Yeah, and they've obviously been planning this out for a while because everything connected, like from the hemotrope reactors, the Promethean pipes,
To the
back to
void
this thing,
shield
to the void
generator.
shield generator. So like that whole line of different things that came out over the course of like an entire year or something like
2
that.
years.
Yeah,
Well,
2 years.
It's more than that with the void
Yeah.
shield. Yeah.
Over the course of 2 years, everything has been designed to fit together, so you could create a cohesive like battlefield, which is
okay.
super cool.
That's
good.
hella-
Yeah,
Yeah, that's all, man.
My
Cool.
the one thought I was going to say before was when you're talking about the Contemptor Dreadnought
Yeah.
being superposable. That's why hearing about the fact that the Swoltemptor Dreadnought is posable, but he's not a pain to build because I've had a couple things where the Armored Sentinel that I had, its legs are pretty dynamic. Like you can have them in different like poses and stuff like that, but it is super fiddly and annoying to try to get together and have it pose so that it sits right on the ground like where it goes. So
Are you
hearing that
using
they-
plastic cement or
plastic,
super glue?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's just but it's like
I was really tempted to put the Sentinel on like my list, and because of that reason.
and exactly, and it's like super fun to be able to
Yeah.
pose it and like because the way I have mine, it's like kind of walking forward and like looking off to a different side, which was fun to do. But like trying to get the pieces to see how they would line up, to see what angles I would have to put them at was it got a little bit frustrating before it started coming together. So
I think when working with those, like getting you almost have to like glue it all together at the same time, and then like rub because like friction kind of gets it gummy, and then it sticks, and so then it'd be fine, but. I don't know. Then sometimes, you have to stick like a paint pot underneath it.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. And you're sitting there and you're like trying to glue it bit by bit.
I had so much fun with that one, just because like, did you see that one that I did? I sold it, of course, but Kurt has it.
Oh, with your old like the snow army that you had.
And there was a guy like kind of leaning out of the door of that thing, like with a ratchet, like adjusting the hub of the leg.
That's cool.
Yeah, it looked really cool.
Yeah, so it was like it became a diorama,
Yeah, absolutely.
That was, I think, like one of my favorite models to ever do.
Yeah, and I did like the model, but it was there was definitely a point when I was putting those legs together when I was like, it got a little bit frustrating. So to hear that they're getting their like,
chops down,
the chops down, where it's like it is maneuverable, but it's not it's not quite as frustrating is kind of good to know. So
it's good. We're gonna take a quick break. We're gonna take a break. God, I can't talk tonight.
That's cool.
Yay, podcast. And then we'll be right back with some Dark Angels.
Dope.
Actually, I'm going to talk about Caliban. Yeah.
Do you like cookies but want something more British? Buy biscuits. Not like those you have for gravy. British biscuits. For dunking in your British tea. Stiff upper lip guaranteed. Biscuits. As recommended by Queen Liz of the Britons.
I just said, but I have to share, as we're talking about Dark Angels, and we are discussing Lionel Johnson.
Yeah.
I did get sidetracked for like 30 minutes by Thundercats and Lionel Johnson, the more important of the two.
Take that back, John.
Whoa.
But I mean, Dark Angels, the First Legion. I mean, I really want to touch on Caliban quickly. He grew up alone, only human on his like little island. He was kind of the son of a witch and a demon. Oh no, that's Shakespeare's The Tempest.
Yeah,
that's a different Caliban.
Right out the package, like what the.
Or that's you're just like Wikipedia, be like, the fuck, I didn't get any of that. You got to read between the lines.
Yeah, or read
between
entirely
the
different
lines.
lines. Oh,
Ayo, read between the lines.
This episode is
Thunder.
dedicated to Adam.
Thunder.
You're getting all the puns
We're very punny people.
Yes.
You are.
Okay, so seriously though, Caliban.
Yes,
It's the Romany word for black too.
Oh,
That's
did not know that.
the original.
that's good.
Yeah.
Oh, that's why. Yeah. So
Anyway,
it's
actual Dark Angels, not referring to very good Shakespearean plays or ancient dead languages, colors.
See, I think, like, I mean, in a lot of ways, Dark Angel is just an anagram all over the place because, like, as you know, like, Lionel Johnson was the author of the poem Dark Angel. And I mean,
I did not know that. Thank you.
Yeah.
That is new.
See, you're going to teach us 40K stuff. We're going to teach you cultural stuff for
go.
the real world.
What is this real world you speak of?
And I think Lionel Peugeot Johnson, I think he's from Britland, but I think he was born in like 1867 and died in like 1902. He wrote that play. I think he was like 35-ish or 36 when he died. But he was like, I think he was like a ravenous alcoholic, and also dealt with like repressed homosexuality. And I think he like fell off his bar stool, and that's how he died.
Wow, that is a hell of a way to go.
But Dark Angel is a really good poem. It's it's really like a lot of his poetry is like really morbid and like really fucked up, and like it has to do with like all his friends dying.
Oh God.
So there's that, which works into the Dark Angels, right?
That's true.
Yeah.
Want to know why they're all feeling bad?
Yeah.
I've just been reading his poetry.
Just read it up here. He converted to Catholicism.
Yeah.
At the same time, he introduced his cousin to Oscar Wilde. More literally stuff then. And then he directed a sonnet called The Destroyer of a Soul.
Yeah.
And in 1893, he wrote what some consider his masterpiece, The Dark Angel.
Wow.
Also, on his Wikipedia page, the Dark Angel served as one of the influences for the Dark Angels chapter of Space Marines in the Warhammer 40,000 fictional universe.
Boom.
Nerds found Wikipedia. Actually, if you'll notice, I made that annotation.
Yeah, his poem was nothing to do with the Dark Angel until he's added that in.
Yeah.
Hey, we should get in that editing Wikipedia pages and just adding random 40K stuff in there.
Sure. It's going to lead a lot of people to 40K. Yeah. And Lexicanum.
Yeah, just like the Wikipedia page for blood. And it's just like, also interesting, blood angels are a thing in 40K.
Another word for blood is sanguine. Another word for...
Other songs by Lord. This song is known to be inspired by the Space Wolves chapter.
The Space Wolves chapter. That's interesting. I did not know that. The reason you didn't know it is because it's not true. But now that you're here,
It's true.
So I guess one of the neat things I thought about this was Lionel Johnson's name wasn't always Lionel Johnson. And it was back in Rogue Trader, it was Lynn Johnson. That's Lyynelgonsen. And I think later on in a 1987 White Dwarf article, it was Lionel Jacobson or Johnson. They'd actually said that in quotations. It was Lionel Jacobson or Johnson, end quote. So
yeah.
So the secrecy.
The secrecy.
Yeah.
You don't even know what his real name is.
Even GW doesn't know.
Even
his real name.
GW. They're not in the inner circle.
They're confused.
I just got totally distracted. I'm actually reading the poem right now, and it's
Oh, yeah?
fantastic.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Seriously.
I'll have to check that out.
Just the first verse here. Dark angel with thine aching lust to rid the world of penitence. Malicious angel who still dost my soul such subtle violence.
I could see that like written on the side of a Nephilim fighter.
There you go.
You know,
man.
that's what I'm saying. Like,
Get on it.
yeah, seriously. That's awesome.
I think he has another one called The Traveler too, and I thought it was going to be all nice and everything, and because I think like I went to the page and it's like flowers and everything, and it's like talks about his friend leaving, and then they bury him.
Yeah. Do what thou wilt, thou shalt not see. Dark angel triumph over me. Lonely unto the lone I go, divine to the divinity. Boom. Gonna have to bookmark this page. So actual 40K Dark Angels,
back to 40K
and not really, remarkable turn of the century poems.
Yeah.
First Legion.
First Legion.
So he's found by Luther on Caliban.
Yes.
Which-
well, no. He's found by the king on Caliban, isn't he? I thought
he was
Luther
found by
became
Luther.
his
No, yeah,
friend
he became his
later.
friend.
He did become his friend, but I thought
Oh,
maybe
yeah,
I'm
I
wrong.
thought he was found by his father because I think
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
But Caliban at this time was pretty much like feudal, medieval Earth with
It was
knights
big-
and everything.
It was a forest planet.
It was like a 24/7
Akkadian
Renaissance
sector.
fair.
Yep. And it had it was
to
like
Eye of Terror.
Yep, and all of the cities were like walled in cities because the beasts of Caliban were like ran through the countryside and it would like
they were
eat you.
chaos infused too.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was the whole thought. That's why that's plays in later.
Yeah.
What goes on there. But yeah, there were these massive beasts that would like slaughter, and then they had the first knights, and that's kind of why they go through with like the Black Knights and the Deathwing Knights. It harkens back to this time because they would have these knightly orders that would be the only ones who would go out and hunt down these beasts, the beasts of Caliban. And bring them back, and that's what he was found out in the wilds, having survived on his
10
own.
years.
Yeah,
10 years from like infancy to I think he's a teenager or something like that. Or
I want to just see like this reminds me of like 300, like the novel. I guess the movie as well. But like kind of you have the young Leonidas stalking the giant wolf.
Yep.
I just want to see infants, like a 3-year-old, just beat up animals.
yeah. That's what you get with an infant Primarch.
just long haired butt rocker.
Yeah, making his way.
Yeah,
But,
stoic. Because he
yeah.
never really talked about those years, right? Like we don't
Yeah.
know anything about like that 10 years by himself.
Yep, exactly. And
Okay.
it's one of those things where it's like he didn't really like his formative years came after that. Like once he went and became part of these orders and became like part of society there in Caliban.
And very much like a lot of the other Primarchs, he rose through the ranks quickly. And he united all of the orders under him.
Yep.
Sorry, that was good times.
So Luther becomes a little jealous at this point. Like he brings him in like a brother, and I think and at some point, he's really ushering him through and like teaching him the ropes. But still, there's like this jealousy, like a little bit. It's not too bad at this point, right?
Yeah,
Like,
because he keeps like being better at it than everybody else, including him, as he's coming
So
through. And they're
Luther
"Oh,
is
this
like
weird."
Obi-Wan in this.
Yeah.
And Lionel would be
Yeah.
Anakin.
Yeah. Except he never gets the high ground. Yeah. So then he becomes part of that, and that's where they eventually find him there in Caliban when when the Emperor comes by and he's like, "Yo, dog, you ain't no normal dude. There, you are part of me."
So then I think Luther cites like a proverb, right, or something about like how there would be a man in black armor who with a bunch of other like black knights that take on and slay all the black beasts. Everything's black.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is what they were.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
what their armor was. They were.
And I think that's at some point that happens, right? Like Lionel takes on the Order, and they go out and they kill every
Slaughter
one
all of the beasts of Caliban
of them in 10 years.
Yep. Yeah.
Well,
So
that's because
these beasts that like had driven all of humanity behind walls, almost like Attack on Titan, esque kind of situation.
please go
And-
edit Attack on Titan's Wikipedia page to say it was influenced by Games Workshop.
by Caliban. But yeah, so then what was I saying? Oh yeah, so like this like entire society of humanity had like established themselves and lived behind these walls for however long, and all of a sudden he comes by and he's like, you know what? Why don't we just like kill them? And they're like, he's like, no, but seriously, let's just kill them.
We can do this. I got
Give
the
me,
slingshots.
give me
It's
like
good.
10 years. Yeah. Give me 10 years and you ain't going to see no beasts. So yeah, he goes out there and slaughters them all.
And they become the Dark Angels because of this proverb, right?
Yep.
Okay.
I think my favorite thing is like Lionel Johnson kind of like he's like, yes, I will lead your knightly orders and we will continue things coming. And then his deadbeat dad comes along and he's like, sup? And he
Oh, you're
tears,
still alive? Cool.
tears apart society as Caliban knows it.
Yeah.
Those knightly orders were cool, yeah, though we're not going to have those anymore. Also, that village, you're mine now because my dad wants to build some shit. And I think like we've seen, like we said, the start of the divide between Luther and Lionel based on kind of skill.
Yeah.
And then this kind of further pushing away of, yeah, I got my new dad now, I'm all good.
Yeah. And not even just your new dad, he's got his new army. Because along with his dad came all of the actual space marines
yeah.
that had been built from his gene seed. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, these knights are great, but they're humans. These guys are space marines.
But they did
Cool.
They did
Yeah.
modify
Yes.
the Dark Angel, the original Dark Angels.
Yeah,
but they still weren't as good.
Yeah, exactly. Like, there's only so far like that, that like surgeries and augmetics can take a regular human being. So that
And
like
this episode on botched.
exactly. And then they had that because they tried to give the gene seed treatment to as many as they could, but most of them at that point were
they're
adults,
too old.
which is they're too old to take the gene seed. So any of the ones that were too old to take the gene seed went through these surgeries to get like beefed up and like given augmetics, and it's like, all right, you're like second string space marines at this point.
Oh, okay.
Which leads to what happens like later and everything that
You
goes
could
on.
aspire to be a Thunder Warrior at some point.
Yeah,
or a Thunder Warrior
Exactly.
scribe.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
ain't gonna die? Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, I'm not going to kick you out, but just know that these guys are way better than you at everything that we're doing.
Hey, did you see this new augmetic? White teeth. White teeth.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, that's cute.
Well,
How many hearts do you have? Aw.
What's super cool about it as well is with the Dark Angels being kind of like the first Legion in kind of pre-heresy and heresy times, they got all of the cool shit first. They were like the ones who got all the new guns and everything to test out.
Yep.
And so we have these guys coming down with all this cool new fancy guns and all this fancy shit. So like I said, that's where your split's going to be. Is your new friends are not as cool as your old friends.
Yeah.
Your old friends miss you. Yeah, I got my new friends now.
And some of the old friends tried to kill the Emperor and Lionel Johnson too. Like there was an assassination attempt
With a nuclear
Failed.
bomb.
whatevs.
Yeah, they really didn't like these new guys coming in. And Lionel Johnson, like even off the bat, he wasn't, he still felt affinity for them, but he was like, dude, these guys are way better. Like, we need to, like, what are you doing? You're idiots. Like, stop doing that. So
He was on the spectrum.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, just have that, and it's like Lionel Johnson is like, he's like, yeah, I like you guys and all, but seriously, these guys are way better. We're gonna do this. We're gonna work with them.
My new friends are hotter.
Yeah, exactly. So, Yeah, so then you have so now you have the Legion is starting up, and it's still based in Caliban. Caliban is like their home base. That's their home world.
Yeah.
So
they go off, they crusade a little bit. Luther becomes even more and more jealous.
Yep.
They have a falling out.
Yep.
Right.
And he leaves them behind on Caliban, and he takes just the Space Marines. So just like the new bros, he's
the
like,
hot friends.
yeah, the hot friends. He's like, you guys stay here and protect Caliban. We're going to go crusade a little bit because the heresy's coming up. So
He did, however, make a small tactical mistake during kind of the third Rangdon genocide, defending the Northern Imperium for his daddy. He might have lost 50,000 battle brothers in that battle, which took them from the biggest, meanest legion to rather small, small legion.
that's because he was using my dice at the time.
Phil's entire channel.
Couldn't make those 3-up saves.
Your entire channel is set during the Rangdon genocide.
Yeah. This battle's brought to you by the Glacial Geek. If you want a dead Marine, give it to him.
But yeah, you're starting to see kind of like Lionel's traveling the galaxy with the Emperor and the Space Marines doing all this cool stuff.
Yep.
And Luther's stuck at home. On
With a band of
Caliban.
psychers, which Lionel hates.
Yep.
And also kind of just doing paperwork.
Yep.
And governor stuff.
Could you
on a
train the
planet
new
that-
kids, would you? Train the new kids.
Yeah, exactly. On a planet that's close to the to the warp, close to the warp, and is and was populated by beasts that were tainted with the warp. So
Could you imagine?
That's like giving your kids like a big bag of weed and like, I'm going to leave you guys at home. You know not to use this, right? Like,
don't use this. We're just going to leave you.
or
right
the
here.
credit card and the number for Pizza Hut on the fridge.
Yeah.
Could you imagine like your friend was like, I got this really cool new job, and you're like, okay, good for you, and then you go back to your kind of your desk job and you're typing away, you're filing your TPS reports, and you see like a little alert, and they're all in the news, and like they saved the child from drowning and all this other stuff, and they were loved, and you'd be like,
Yeah, but no. You're still cool. I'm just gonna hang out with these guys though for a while. You stay there. I'll see you back.
Fuck, the Keurig's broken. Oh.
Yeah.
You don't know what it's like.
Yeah, if you could fix that for me by the time I get back, that'd be great. Bye.
that assassination attempt, by the way, was the crusade against the Siraj. The Siraj managed to sneak a nuclear warhead onto the flagship of the Dark Angels. Luther discovered it and was like, should I tell him? I mean, maybe. And he thought about it. Then he did tell him, but Lionel knew that he thought about it and was maybe not going to. So he was like, fuck off, back to the rock. You stay there.
Yeah.
Don't ever leave.
Yeah, and that was kind of one of the things. Like once he left it there, like you have like the Horus Heresy that starts when it starts to kick in. Like he's going off and he's going with the with the Space Marine part of the Dark Angels, and he's leaving these other guys behind. And it's like part of it is, he's not sure he can trust them all like out there because it's like these things are happening. Like people are trying to murder me with nuclear weapons.
Yeah.
And my supposedly best friend is thinking about whether to tell me or not. Yeah.
Which, by the way, let's improve our security checkpoints before entering the main cruiser.
I'm gonna. If you could make a sign for me, please, that says "No nuclear weapons" on here, that'd be great.
I want like an orc level sneak in of like just this really obvious nuclear bomb with not a nuclear bomb written on it, and the guy's like, that seems reasonable.
That seems right. Yeah.
I feel it would say if it was.
Yeah, it's like it says right there. It's not a nuclear weapon. So there's like the questions about their loyalty. That's why he's like, you stay home. You're not coming with me. Then there's the issues of their abilities, where it's like these guys are way better at what they're doing, and we're gonna go fight other guys that are like them. You're gonna get smoshed. Like I can't have that. So you stay back here. I'm going with them.
And it was like, I think for Lionel in a lot of ways, like it wasn't like a reprimand, although that's how Luther took it. Like it was like a tactical decision. Like this only makes sense. Like this is practical.
Exactly.
Why don't you do this thing? Because we need more recruits. We need more recruits.
Exactly.
We just killed half of them.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And he's always been one of the top tacticians of all the Primarchs. That was like his main thing was that he was like a major tactician. So you're sitting back.
He was
and
the worst at understanding humans.
Yeah. I mean, he's goth. What are you going to tell? He's
humans.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't understand me.
me. And he was like a major tactician. So he's like, all right, bro, you stay back here. Get me some more troops. I need more troops. Like these guys, not like your guys, like these guys.
Better than you.
Yeah, better than you.
When you're asking yourself if this makes a good candidate, look at yourself and say, not that.
Yeah, not that. Better. this guy right here. This guy's the guy you want to do.
But I love you.
Yeah.
But I don't want you.
I love you, but I look down on you.
Yeah. I love you, but stay home. Bye.
I'm doing this for your own good. I want the one with the bigger boobs.
Yeah. Yeah. So that, like, it made sense for him to leave them back there for a lot of reasons, but Luther didn't necessarily see it that way.
So I thought it was kind of neat that, like, here we have a guy who absolutely is oblivious to human emotion, but he's also saddled with it, and he makes decisions that are not always very practical. Yeah. So Horus becomes a contender for the War Master, and then eventually takes it, and Lionel is just like, he's jealous as shit. Like he has to be. He wanted to be the War Master. Yeah. It made no sense. Yeah. Like it was.
I'm the first. I'm the most tactical. The tactical guy, like, what the hell, man? Like, why did he get it? Yeah.
This DB over here.
Yeah, exactly.
I think, like, him and Russ were just both like, well, obviously he was the favored son. Like, they had this, like, bitter, like, reframing process. Like, accept the fact that shithead got it instead of them.
Yeah. So. Yeah, you always treat him better than me. I was the oldest. I had to go through it all.
Sorry, Lionel. Yeah. You always bring fruitcake to the parties. Nobody likes you.
But it's nutritiously superior to that stupid vanilla cake.
You ass.
You ass. It's nutritiously superior. It's obviously the better choice to make.
But, I mean, the more I kind of read about Dark Angels and kind of in there, the more their story kind of runs kind of parallel to the Horus Heresy. They don't super take part in it a lot.
A lot like Ultramarines.
Due to kind of... and actually, they do hook up with the Ultramarines. And temporarily form their own Imperium. Not saying that's a traitorous thing to do.
No.
But, yeah, so they were like the cops on Ultramar for a while. But they accidentally, like, dragged Space Batman with them, so... It was bad times. Yeah. I think one of my favorite stories I read was like how like they did this strike team that they kind of saved this Forge World from the Night Lords, and then Conrad Kurz got stuck on the Dark Angel ship.
Oh.
But they couldn't find him, and every team they sent to find him got killed. And then like he just hung out on this Dark Angel ship forever, just like, fuck, I gotta get out. Yeah. And it was like, there he is. Like, oh god, more. And then he kind of like Batmans them away.
Yeah.
I just love this. And like Conrad Kurz is such an emo little whiny fuck anyway. I just imagine him hiding in a dark corner and be like, leave me alone.
Yeah.
This is who I am now.
I am the ghost of the what is it, like arrogant butt rocker or whatever the ship is called, Arrogant Vengeance or something.
Exactly. Yeah. That's their flagship, Arrogant Vengeance.
Yeah. It was like the strike teams like walking through. They're like, wait, who hung up all these Smith posters down here in this storage facility? Wait a minute! Oh no!
Smell of cloves.
Yeah.
They're like, he's near.
Yeah.
How do you know, Sergeant?
The lights have been turned to red.
There's a black light in the corner. But yeah, so it runs kind of parallel, like away from the heresy, where the Dark Angels arrive to Terra like the same time as the Ultramarines, like after all of the good stuff was done. He saw the Emperor kind of being entombed in the Golden Throne, and he was like, fuck. I like to think a part of him was also thinking, this wouldn't have happened if you had made me War Master.
Oh yeah, because I think at one point during the heresy, he goes and what was it? What's that? There was a Forge World that he went and I think he tried to stop Horus from taking it. Oh god, I can't remember what the name of it was.
Diamat,
yeah.
Diamat.
So he goes and like stops that from happening, and then he's like, "Oh, great, we got this Forge World, it's wonderful." And then Perturabo is like, "Yo, man, I'm on your side. Why don't you give me all those weapons, and we'll go and like take out Horus? It'd be awesome, you and me, besties." And he's like, "Yeah, sounds great. Here you go, have all these weapons." And then he gives them to Horus.
Oh, dude. You promised.
So he definitely did stuff during the heresy.
Yeah.
Fuck up.
Accidentally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But all of the important Dark Angel stuff happens after the heresy.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Oh, so yeah, go.
I guess the point to that was that going to kind of what you were saying was that his idea was that he wasn't just going to give the weapons to Perturabo. He was trying to make an inroad with Perturabo so that when he was able to oust Horus, he would then have allies on his side to be able to take over the position. So he was this like backstabby kind of like politicking way of like trying to get that the head of the classroom seat.
Yeah. It also shows a little bit of his I guess naivety, like you talked about, like his inability to understand like emotion. Like he didn't foresee like the backstab. You know what I mean? Like he just like Perturabo's like, yo, dude, I'm with you. He's like, yeah, sounds good because we're brothers.
I will need you for my plans.
Exactly. And it's like that sounds great. Like, you know, he didn't see like the traitor's turn coming from him with that one. You know, so and I think that kind of plays into what happens later.
He seems like the kind of guy who, like, if you're a teen trying to buy beer, and you give like an older guy like $20 to go buy it, and he puts it in his pocket, like, you're gonna go get the beer. What beer? Have my money back? What money?
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
Damn it! I fell for it for the fourth time.
Every time. Yeah. So
Keep running out of money and beer.
Yeah.
Okay, so Emperor's dead.
Yes.
Lionel is sad.
Yes.
They start flying back to Caliban, simultaneously kind of pushing Chaos out as they go.
They're doing that like run with like their shoulders like limp and their arms like flopping back and they're running back.
But we have kind of a situation where, like, if you go out and you have like a super awesome time with your friends and you've left your wife at home alone and you come back to, oh my god, it's so good, bad stuff happened. Luther is your wife in that situation.
Oh shit.
He has been stuck at Caliban, a former feudal world, current mine.
Yeah.
With nothing to hunt, nothing to kill, nothing to do,
Except brood
and be upset about the fact that he can't do anything.
and have the dark gods whisper in your ears.
And those dark gods are kind of pissed off because they just lost Horus, and also, well, maybe they didn't lose, maybe they truly won, but they were bored, so they whispered into Luther's ear and maybe turned him into chaos, or turned him to chaos.
And all of the
Officially.
that's what exactly
Only officially.
and all of the Space Marines there you know, were the same kind of situation. They were like, you know, viewed themselves as like the second string, and now you're suddenly have these dark gods are like, yo, dog, we will totally make you guys badasses. So this guy's wrong for leaving you behind. He should have been working.
So this is
But they
super
actually
rad.
did have something to happen because I think like Horus had actually brought the demons back. So towards the end of this, I think like all of a sudden the warp beasts or the chaos beasts start showing up.
Yeah.
And I think like Luther in kind of that dialogue to convince him, like they convinced themselves, the people of Caliban convinced themselves that Lionel had abandoned them and that and that his leadership was horrible and like negligent and everything else. And like Luther was the light of the future.
Yeah.
And, so Luther was going to eventually rid them of the Chaos Beasts, but at that point, they didn't give a fuck.
So were all of the fallen essentially the shitty discount Marines?
a little bit. I think so.
I mean, I think that's a great split.
Yeah.
Like chaos infused discount Marines versus you know your quote unquote pure Marines.
Yep.
That's a way better narrative than half the Legion fell to chaos.
Well, because
It could have been people that were trained too. So, because they were cranking them out there.
And because they talk about that the Dark Angel's gene seed is supposed to be one of the purest gene seeds. Like it doesn't it doesn't turn them into wolves. It doesn't make them want to drink blood. Like it doesn't do any of that stuff. Like it's one of the purest of the gene seeds that they have. So like the ones that were actually made are really, they're good Marines.
They're
you know what
pure
I mean?
of
They're
heart.
pure of heart. They're pure of whatever. So the ones that were left behind didn't quite have that same thing going for them. So, you know, they were a little bit easier to corrupt to the chaos side.
Although another question would be like how long had this been going on? They've been battling for
a long time,
a few thousand years. So really, realistically, unless they had some way of like modifying them to where they would live forever, like more than likely the original Dark Angels died out by this point of natural causes.
Well, Luther was still around. So
But I mean,
I think some of the
characters never die.
Well, I mean, like some of the modifications. Because
That's
if you look at kind of like Inquisitors, you have Inquisitors who are like thousands of years old. And like age conventions are very easily worked around in the 40K universe.
But I think you're right. I think
But that's a question to ask, though.
Yeah, and it's true. Well, because also he was tasked with rebuilding up the the
Marines.
the Legion. So he is in that process of making new Marines who are then being indoctrinated by him
Into
and
Lutherans,
people,
yeah.
into Luthers.
Into Lutherans.
We're gonna start up soup kitchens,
Yeah.
evil soup kitchens.
Evil soup kitchen.
Azrael comes back to find a bunch of shit pinned to his door. It's bad time. I thank you to the people who understood.
I got it. I'm with you there.
So
So yeah, he gets back.
Lionel comes back. Honey, I'm home.
Yes.
He begins to get the shit shot out of him from the
Yes.
planet's surface instantly without any kind of communication.
Yeah. But the thing was, this is what they talk about, like that maybe not all of the Marines down on Caliban were like completely fallen to chaos, because the if they had waited till his whole fleet was in like low orbit, the planetary defenses without warning could have just obliterated them. But they started shooting early, like some of the because Luther was saying like hold, don't shoot, and then all of a sudden like one or like a couple of the batteries start shooting, which kind of gave a warning shot. Like it destroyed a whole bunch of Dark Angel ships and killed a lot of the Marines, but it didn't obliterate the whole fleet because they shot too early, and the other ones had time to like and then back up like back up really fast out into
It's a
into
trap.
high, yeah, exactly. It's a trap. Back into like high
fully-
orbit, and they were good.
It's fully operational planet.
Yes, it's fully operational.
So
so
Warp
there is
Rift shows up at this point.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so this is the interesting part, because this
Yeah.
has been somewhat kind of retconned.
Yes, it
about
has.
about what happened, because
Well,
there
they
was
never
the
really
original story.
Well, here's the thing: is
Spoilers, by the way.
yeah, spoilers if you guys haven't read the
Darkness
trilogy of Caliban series by Gav Thorpe, which is my favorite series
Model.
of my favorite model. It's my favorite series.
I don't recall asking you
books.
what your favorite.
I know. I'm just saying. It's really, really
Stick
well
to the
written.
topic.
Awesome stories, and especially if you're interested in Dark Angels, that is like highly recommended that you read this. But at this point, Lionel Johnson is pissed, like royally pissed. So they start shooting back onto the planet like a planetary bombardment, destroying all of the defenses.
Like, he essentially tries to exterminate the planet from space.
Exactly.
Like, fuck you guys.
Yeah, and
So he's trying to level it so that he can go
Exactly.
down and take Luther out himself.
So he's like leveling the planet and forces all of the the forces down there into the Void Shield protected cities. So all of these like monasteries and all of the former Caliban cities, the ones that were walled in, they all run back into there to protect themselves from like this massive planetary bombardment onto this planet.
They destroy like all the forest, everything. It's just a wasteland.
Yeah, just like everything on this planet except for anything that was under these like massive void shields. So then he leads like this drop assault in there like personally, because he is like he is livid.
It's like, I just finished dealing with this shit.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you're doing this to me? I literally just had it with all my brothers. Now you're going to do it too? So
This game never ends.
So he goes down there, and they and he personally goes in and starts dueling with Luther. And they have this massive duel. And they're going back and
like
forth
for days
like
or
yeah,
something,
like a
isn't it?
long time. It's like unbelievable amount of craziness. And they're beating him down, and he gets he knocks Luther to the ground, but he can't swing the final blow because he still sees his brother. Like he's
super tired after sword fighting for 2 days.
Yeah, he's like, just a minute,
I imagine
one
like
minute.
when there's at least like a 2-hour point in there where they're just like,
time out. Yeah.
So I think we learned with Rust that like that's always a bad thing. Like when Rust like stopped for a second, like now there's that feud that's lasted for thousands of years.
Exactly. So he didn't put the final blow, and then Luther with a giant psychic blast blows him off his feet and knocks him down and considers.
Hey, guess what I learned while you were gone?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Brain food.
Yeah. He's like mind worm. Shoots him, like knocks him prone, and then at that point Luther's like, "Oh, what have I done? Like, what is this? What have I done?" So he then goes, and he's down by the body, and he's crying for what he's done, and the other Dark Angels arrive, and they find Luther there, like babbling and saying that they don't find Lionel Johnson, and Luther's like he was taken off with hooded figures, took him away. And that's when like the warp storm, like the dark gods see that he's not like that they're not getting what they want at this point, so they're like, all right, warp storm, giant warp storm.
I like that. It's like like it's like a 5-year-old like sulking because the action figure's into what you want to do, so it just clears the whole damn table.
Just clears the table and storms off. So,
Burns all of his dark elf.
So warp
army.
storm. And
So there's the interesting thing that I think happened kind of like right before this, but I think it kind of like plays into all this. It was like there was the sentient time machine Chuchala.
So this is part
the
2.
retcon.
This is the retcon.
Okay.
yeah, well, the thing is, if you look at it, it's not really a retcon as much as it's because the way they talk about an explanation. Because the way they talked about it was that these warp storms opened up, and that the planet just wasn't stable enough, and it just like collapses, and all of the other like the traitor marines get sucked into the warp, and everybody gets sucked into the warp. Luther is captured and imprisoned, but everyone else gets like sucked off into the warp, and the planet collapses. So the story that happened with this was that the thing that happened in the Caliban trilogy was that Typhus and Cypher
and who was the other one?
And Azrael.
Was
Azrael.
Azrael, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they get Azrael finds out from like the inner circle that there's this.
Oh, sorry, not
thing.
Typhus, Typhon originally, then it becomes Typhus.
Yes.
Like, right? So I think Typhon finds it.
No, Typhus in the 41st.
In the 30th, because like, at some point, like originally, like this thing, I think Lionel Johnson, Typhon finds it. Then I think Lionel Johnson sees watches the Death Guard go in for this thing during the heresy and goes in, beats back the Death Guard, take this device, and it becomes his little buddy. Like he talks to it; it's his little friend and everything.
Yeah.
So he puts it in the rock, and then eventually Cypher and Azrael.
I did not know that. Okay,
Yeah,
I didn't know that this had happened since the.
There's three parts to the machine.
Oh yeah,
There's one that's embedded in the center of Caliban. Which is like the or whatever.
Yeah.
It has like a long and then
Tuchulacha.
yes,
Tuchulacha.
and then there's the piece
It's like the spicy sauce.
that Typhon found.
Was it the Offerun or Offer?
It was a
I think he found that one. He actually found Tuchulacha. Or Typhon did, and then Typhus and Cypher later on, because I think it was like much later. They didn't know about the two other devices. They knew they were out there, but I think like Cypher like keys them off. And then they all go and they find them, and then I think they start to bring it back. And there's one that's named and one that's not. There's like the Oompa Loompa one or whatever the hell it's called.
I can't remember.
And that's like at this point, like Typhon is dead because it's been like thousands of years later.
Yeah.
So Typhus is the one.
Yeah, because this happens in 40,000.
Yeah.
So you've got Azrael, you've
Right.
got all the main dude bros that you have now in the 40K thing. And Cypher comes back, and you learn that basically that it turns out that they get together, and Azrael trying to stop because they find out that what's happening is that some of the Fallen are now trying to work with Typhus to go back and get the fallen Dark Angels when they were on Caliban and turn them into a new army that could come forward. So Azrael's like listening to this Cholula to go see if he can go
the Chalupa.
the Chalupa. He's listening to the Chalupa to go and see if he can go. Like the Chalupa's like, yeah, he's gonna go do it. He's gonna go get together. He's gonna use this device, and he's gonna create a warp rift in this, like where Caliban used to be in like the in the asteroid field that was Caliban. And he's going to go create a warp rift, and he's going to create a time rift, and he's going to go back in time and get these people.
Get his bros.
Yeah, get his bros, and they're going to create a new army going forward. So Azrael's
starts
like,
going. It's good.
So Azrael's like, no, we're not going to do
right?
that. So we're going to go, and we're going to go stop him from doing that. So they go back there, and then he realizes, oh snap, us being here is what they needed for this to happen. And then Typhus, Typhus gets a message, and he's like, yeah, we got used too. Like the fallen Dark Angels, like the fallen guys, they're just using us. Like this is not. They're not going to turn them over to us to make them into Death Guard. They're going to create their own army to do whatever the hell they want to do. So it creates this open warp rift, right? And there's this massive battle there with the Death Guard and the Dark Angels and the rocks there, and like there's people's elbows going everywhere. So like there's like this massive battle.
That's where go to.
Yeah, there's this massive battle. And in the middle of the battle, this a Dark Talon with the Rift Cannon, he's in this guy. He it gets overcharged and it's gonna explode. And the guy flying this Dark Talon is like, if it explodes here, it's going to destroy the rock. It's going to kill off our entire chapter. Like, cause, and not just the chapters there, but all of the Unforgiven. So all of like the successor chapters are there as well. So he's like, if this goes off, it's going to destroy all of them. And he sees this warp rift there, and he's like, I need to fly it into the warp rift to keep it from. I need to fly it into there so I can keep it from killing off the entire chapter. So he flies this Nephilim, this Dark Talon through the warp rift, and like as it's closing, it goes off. And they realize as they see this that is the impulse that destroys Caliban. Oh. And they're like, wait, we blew up Caliban in the past by going through this time travel warp, like shit. Like we are the reason that we have no Caliban. And that's like the major like mind blowing moment. And it's like, oh my god, that's crazy. So yeah, that's what they go back where Caliban got blown up by future Dark Angels that went through the rift there and took it there.
Damn Dark Angels ruining the Dark Angels for everyone else.
Yeah, which seems fair enough because I mean the Dark Angels do a lot of like self-harm basically. Like that's like the entire history is like trying to make up. That's why they're the Unforgiven. They've been trying to make up for this blight of like half the Legion turning to darkness, turning to the chaos.
I mean, I feel like the second ending there, where with the kind of causing their own demise thing, is way more satisfying.
Yes, than just like a random warp.
Just suddenly warp rift.
Suddenly warp
which happens a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
I said I really kind of, and I like the idea that even if it's not true, that all the Traitor Marines were the scrotty human rejects.
Yeah.
It's
so now Caliban's destroyed, and the only part that's like significantly left is one of the monasteries, which was protected by the giant void shields that they had gone back to, and they turned that piece of rock that was survived there into their new homeworld, basically. Like
they put like 80-something land speeders on it.
Yeah, exactly. They just super glue a bunch of land speeders onto the side of it.
Pimp my rock.
Yeah, exactly.
The orcs are like, how did they get one of those? Motherfuckers.
Exactly.
And then at some point they decided to paint their armor green too.
Yeah.
The end.
Yeah.
So I think but I think the Fallen thing, like this is obviously like a reoccurring thing.
That's like the defining aspect of what the Dark Angels are.
And I think like the more I read into that, like the more I think it really kind of like left things open to do what you want to do with your army in a way, because I think like there's multiple different ways of looking at it. You could look at like Lion as a traitor, or you could look at him as a loyalist.
There's only one.
Oh, sorry.
There's literally only one way.
It's a very boring conversation. There's only one answer.
There's only one answer.
Zero discussion.
Zero discussion after that.
So what happened in those 10 years in the forest when Uncle Chaos Touchy
he got raped by a bear like Leonardo DiCaprio?
A chaos bear with a prehensile.
We do not talk about that. That's obviously
so there's that. I mean, and I think like that was in one theory. I think Astalan was suggesting, this is like one of the generals of Luther's.
Yeah,
he was suggesting that like they were trying to monitor the Lion. They were trying to watch him, and so like they were kind of just like playing his game for a while, and like Luther and him were just kind of checking it, and eventually they would try to contain Lion, which I guess they did.
Yeah,
in a weird way. But the other part failed, which was like they would succeed.
Yeah,
and
they would take over as the yeah.
So they ran like
had sight beyond sight.
So
I enjoy my Thundercats references. For you
Is
guys.
that what that was?
Yeah.
So it was like Lone Stars. The 80s are back. So many of the Fallen, like some of them turn to chaos.
Yes.
Some of them believe that they're loyal, right?
Yes.
And they're trying to stop the chaos, like that is the loyalist, the quote unquote loyalist.
Yes.
And then others just become smugglers. Oh, and another batch just become like hippies. That was so awesome.
Yeah, because I mean,
you're like someone was just like, "Fuck all this, I'm gonna go get a job."
After 10,000 years, like some of them are just like, "All right, I'm moving on." But it's but that's the whole thing. Is
they
like
get
they
a
get
service
dog,
they get a job at filing TPS reports, and they're happy as shit for the next 1,000 years.
And that defines that defines the chapter and all of the successor chapters from that point
because
forward.
they're kind of unique in that way.
Yeah.
Is the fact that while they in name have successor chapters, they're technically still one legion.
Yeah, well, yes,
with
because
slightly different colors, and please don't ask us if we are all working for the same goal together under one command.
If Gilliman ever asked, they're completely separate chapters, but they are the Unforgiven, and they have this code that if ever something comes up that needs to be taken to, because all of the different chapters, all of the different successor chapters have their own version of the Inner Circle,
They're
which
Avengers.
they got exactly. they've all got their Inner Circle members within their chapters that know the story, because the story of the Fallen, the story of Luther's betrayal, the story of all of that is kept secret from everybody, like even their own battle brothers. Like your average tactical marine in the Dark Angels doesn't know about the Fallen.
I think it's like what they say, like the first company are generally like they're either Inner Circle or they're close to Inner Circle.
They are
like
the Inner Circle. Yeah, they're the veterans. That's why all of our Terminators are, because they're not Codex Marines. So they have, the first company is all Terminators. It's all of the veterans, and that's where the Terminator armor resides, is with them. Then you have our second company, which is all of the Raven Wing, which is all of the bikes, the land speeders, the flyers.
Yeah,
that's the second company, and then the third and further on,
the not so Inner Circle.
Yeah, and then the rest.
Inner Circle.
Exactly, and that's how it goes. You have like the Inner Circle, which are there's Azrael, like the Supreme Grandmaster knows everything, and then beyond that, then you have like your company masters who are all part of the Inner Circle. They're all Deathwing. They know another level of knowledge that comes out. So they know about the Fallen, they know about the Hunt, they know about this, that the fact that the chapter is their main goal in everything they do is to hunt down the fallen Dark Angels that have come back through the warp.
I would have said find love, but
yeah, it's to find love.
They might not know that they're responsible for their home planet's death.
No, because they didn't know. No one knew that they were responsible for it until that final battle there, when they saw him fly in. They were like, "Oh snap!" So, so they know about what's going on with the Fallen. They know about the Hunt. They're privy to all of that information. Then you have the actual first company, which is the veterans. They know about the Fallen. They don't know all of the information. Like, they don't have parts in the conversation. But if someone has to go and grab them, they're the ones that are sent in. Then in the Raven Wing, you have levels of the Raven Wing, like the Black Knights, the more elite ones. They have more information about it. They know about the traitor stuff, and they're used to hunt, like to run them to ground. But then they stop at a certain point once they've got them cornered, and that's when the Deathwing come in to go grab them.
Oh,
so
okay.
They actually have stories about this in the Raven Wing where they're hunting, like there's like a traitor marine that they're running to ground, and they've got him cornered in this building, and all of a sudden it comes over the Vox, and it's like, stop. Don't go in there. And they're like, we've got him. He's here. We can take him down. They're like, nope, you stop there. Don't you worry. And then all of a sudden it's like, like, the teleportarium opens up, and all of a sudden there's like Terminators in front of them, and they're like, we got this. Don't worry. Like, turn back. We're good. And it's like, what do you mean? Like, we were just fighting there. And they're like, nope, you go back. we got this. Don't worry. And they go, and they're the ones that go in to actually face, and because they don't want them.
That's got to be like torturous for like the Dark Angels, because they're very much into honor, and they're very much into like, I mean, in a way, like they're a lot like the Space Wolves, or like it's this like, I don't know, like a. Oh, what would you call it? Like it's an honor crusade.
Yeah.
It's like,
absolutely.
They want the dignity that comes with like taking on and like finishing the mission.
Yeah, exactly. They're very stoic. They're not. Yeah, they're not. They talk about them being like very stoic and like grim resolve. Like they're here to fight the battle to win the day.
I'm gonna come.
Yeah,
I'm gonna come.
I'm gonna
stop. Stop. What?
Yeah,
what?
you don't get to. Yeah, you don't get to. But yeah, and
blue balls in the casserole.
And they have stories about like that every once in a while. Sometimes these regular Marines who aren't initiated into the Inner Circle, they find out about them. They have interactions with they were told to stop, but they're like, no, we can get this guy. We can run him down. Like, let's go. Like, the squad will go. And all of a sudden they're confronted with this Chaos Marine who's like
what's
hello,
up, bro?
He's like, it's like, look,
check
what's up?
out
He's
my
got
symbol.
He's got a Dark Angel symbol on his shoulder. And it's like, I'm here with you. I'm in control here. Like, these are my, these are my bros. Like, I'm one of your brothers. I'm a Dark Angel, and I've fallen to Chaos. Oh, they didn't tell you that? Oh, that's such a shame. Yeah, half of us turned to Chaos, and they're like, what? And that's when the chaplains come, and they make a decision at that point. They're like, do we think that we can now initiate them into the Inner Circle? And they have that where all of a sudden it's like a regular tactical Marine. It's like
club the baby.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's what it comes down to. It's like they talk to them and they initiate them, and if they can't accept it, they can't be quiet, then suddenly they disappear. And otherwise, it's like, congratulations, you've just been promoted to the Deathwing. It's like, here's your Terminator armor.
Like,
have fun.
But I don't want to.
Yeah,
Like,
but I don't want to. It's like,
oh no, the Chaos Marine shot you in the face.
Yeah.
But he didn't.
yeah, and they have that. Like they had there was the story in the Caliban trilogy where they had like the greatest marksman from the companies. He had the laurels. He was the top marksman. He happened to run into and find out about the Fallen, and suddenly he's getting talked to by the interrogator chaplains who are like, all right, now you know the truth. This is what's going to happen. Now you're going to become part of the Deathwing. And then he gets put into like the Deathwing. He's like, oh, this is a promotion to the first company. And they're like, no, this is just what you have to do now because this is your burden to bear. That you now have to live with the fact that we have half of our legion, fell to chaos during the Horus Heresy. Congratulations. Now it's your job to go out there and hunt them down and find them. This is not a promotion. This is not a laurel to hang on your head. This is now your burden to bear for the rest of the chapter because you can't tell your brothers, you can't tell anyone else about this. This is now your burden to bear. And all of a sudden they're like,
Yeah,
this
promotion.
Well, that's the thing. Is like they're like, I thought it would be different, and they're like, yeah, you know nothing.
Different.
You do. Yeah, it is very different, way different than you ever thought. And that's what it comes down to.
Now go kill your brothers.
Yeah, exactly. and they have that. They had times when it's like there was there's also a story. I saw a short story where it was a scout squad happened to be used to go contain.
Oh shit!
Yeah, had to be used to contain. Yeah, had to be, not promoted fast. They had to go contain him, and they captured the guy. That the Deathwing came in and captured them, and then the sergeant who was part of the Deathwing, he was the one that was leading them. The inner circle and stuff. Mm-hmm. He was leading them, and then they turned around. They're like, "Well, what's the story? Is this true? Was what he was saying true? That that some of our brothers turned traitor during the Horus Heresy?" And we're like, "There's a lot of things that you don't know." And all of a sudden, it's like an interrogator chaplain shows up with a bunch of Deathwing Terminators. They're like, "Oh, brothers, you're here!" And then the sergeant turns around and walks off, and they're like, "Wait, what's going on?" And bolter fire, and the scout squad never came back.
I think it's kind of like the government listening in, and at any time it's like traitor, and they're like, oh,
yeah,
you want to get this one? I got the last one. No, I got it.
Yeah, and that's what happens, and that's part of why you have not just chaplains are all of the chapters have chaplains who are designed to keep you straight and narrow, make sure heresy's not coming in. We also have the interrogator chaplains, and these are the ones who when they capture the Fallen, they're told to go and make them confess. And make them repent for what they did before they're killed. And they have the black pearls that they get every time they go and they make one confess, and they get a black pearl onto their Rosarius.
Interesting.
Yeah, they get a black pearl onto their Rosarius, and but they're also the ones that then have to handle the regular battle brothers who find out a bit more than they should. They have to assess whether they can be promoted and kept within if they're going to work with the system. Yeah. Or do they need to be eliminated because they can't risk that information getting back? So immediately they're quarantined from the rest of the chapter. If they find out information, it's like, you're coming with us, you're not going to go see with your brothers. You're sitting here until we make our decision of whether you're going to be dead or you're going to be promoted. So yeah, it's really interesting, and that's the defining factor. The defining facet of what makes a Dark Angel versus any other chapter is that their goal is to pursue the hunt. The hunt is to find the Fallen, to win back their honor. That's they're the unforgiven. They're the ones that it's it's a task that is nigh impossible to do that they're trying to do. But there have been times when they've been in the middle of battle and suddenly they get word that there's a Fallen elsewhere, and they will pull out of battle, and they will just leave the planet that they've been battling against, and they just abandon allies, and it makes a lot of people real pissed.
Yeah,
but to them, it's like, we're here to hunt the Fallen. Everything else is just gravy.
So speaking of gravy,
oh jeez,
Cypher. I think there's maybe 2 or 3 super well-known Fallen.
Yeah, he's one that I didn't really look into.
And he is the kind of the first among many.
Yes.
Tell me about Cypher.
So Cypher is he's the Fallen of the Fallen. He is the Arc Traitor, and he is the one that.
Are there multiple, or is it just the one?
He is
because I've heard that there's they replace him each time.
There had been other Lord Cypher was an honorific. It was a title that was given. So the Cypher in 40K is the last Cypher before the fall. Before the fall.
Oh, okay.
So he carries around the Lion's Blade, and there's very little's known about what he's actually trying to do, because some people he's showing up throughout history of the Dark Angels at very inopportune times all across the galaxy at different places doing different things, sometimes working against the Imperium, sometimes working for the Imperium, and sometimes he's just doing random things that don't make sense to anybody. So that's why they're constantly chasing him. He's the Arc Traitor. And he has been caught on multiple occasions,
disappears.
but he disappears like half an hour later. All of a sudden, he's gone. This even happened the latest one.
I was going to say, he was recently caught and held in the jails of Terra by the Adeptus Custodes.
And nobody's ever escaped from until now.
And literally, they say half an hour later, he disappeared.
You know, that kind of reminds me of like the Chalupa machine. You know,
Chalupa machine.
Well, because that was like something that like allowed somebody to travel through time and space.
Yep.
And I think like Lionel had actually used it when they were interrogating Kurz. I think like who was it? Sanguinus was about to kill him, and then Lionel like used Chalupa to show up and like, whoa, chill.
Yeah.
I think they technically destroy the thing with that warp storm, but maybe Cypher has it.
Yeah.
And that would explain why he could like teleport in and out of Terra.
Yeah. and that's one of the things that's actually held secret from most of the inner circle that only the Supreme Grandmaster knows, is that throughout history that they've captured Cypher and then they've released him. So sometimes they've released him, sometimes he's escaped. Okay. Because oftentimes he comes with information. He's like, you know, he shows up and he oftentimes is just like, I'm Cypher. I'm here. Like, you know, take me to the rock. We're good. Like, let's talk. And then they're like, we got him. Okay, that's weird. Okay, cool. We've got him. Sounds great. And then they take him up there and all of a sudden it's like, you know, whatever happens to say, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, he escaped. And it turns out like a lot of times the Supreme Grandmasters have been told information that they're like, you need to let me go because I need to go take care of this. Otherwise, we're all doomed as a chapter.
Okay.
And they're like, okay. Yeah, okay. And then they let him go. So, and same thing with that warp storm when that was happening. He was seen flying a ship through the warp rift in time, before the explosion went off. So, he might be traveling through time because of all of this stuff. So he travels all over and he's doing all these different things. Sometimes working, like I said, sometimes working for the Imperium, sometimes working against the Imperium, sometimes looking like he's working against the Imperium, and then at the last second turning against the people that he had allied with and like helping the Imperium. So he's a very enigmatic character, which, I mean, his name's Cypher. Kind of goes along with that. And right now, no one really knows what his mission is. Some people say that he was tasked with the Lion to go kill the Emperor. Other people are saying that he's tasked with the Lion to go help the Emperor and do something with the Emperor. There's rumors that the Lion's sword that he has, the Lion's blade, that he can like fix the throne with it. And others are saying that it's like his whole job is he's just trying to kill it. So some people say he's tasked by the Lion to go do this. Other people say he's doing it on his own. No one really knows for sure what's going on. So it's kind of cool that they made him like a key plot point going forward. I think that might become pretty interesting to see what they do with that. So so that is Cypher. He is the Arc Traitor. He is the one that if rumor, but he's the one that if rumor,
Arc loyalist,
if rumor comes up that he is located anywhere throughout the entire place, the Dark Angels drop what they're doing and take off to
every chapter
Dark
Angels drops their shit and goes.
Yeah, and they drop it and they go, and the Unforgiven like converge on wherever it is to try to go take care of what's happening. So so that's Cypher, who's pretty interesting character. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Dark Angels.
Yeah. Well, they got a lot going on.
They're pretty deep. They're pretty deep. And that's honestly what drew me to the chapter was like that fact. It's like, that's a cool story. You know what I mean? Like that's like an interesting story. It's like, you know, they're not. It's not this black and white thing. Like they're trying to regain their
like
honor and they're keeping a secret. Exactly. You know, like they're not poster boys. They've got like this deeper aspect to them. Plus they're green. I like green, but you know,
we start off with a lot of kind of like Native American symbolism and kind of inspiration there.
And that's how actually how it started with the with the Deathwing.
That's right.
The way it started was originally they had the same color armor as everyone else. But there was a squad of them that were on this planet that was having a gene stealer infestation.
The Plains world.
Yeah. And they were there, and they were the only squad left, and they thought that this was going to be a suicide mission. They were like, we need to fight to protect this planet, but this is going to be, we're not going to survive. We know that we're not going to survive. So in honor of the spirits, they covered their their armor.
I think there was like a native ritual where
Yeah.
they took like ash, and they normally cover their skin, but they were like, cover our armor.
Well, we might as well cover this tank thick armor.
So they covered their armor, and they became like the bone-colored armor, and it was supposed to represent that they were already dead, and that they had already passed on, and that what they did now made no difference. But they survived, and they managed to come back, and that became the honor that they came back. You know, that they were already dead. So the Death Watch is already dead, or the Death Wing is already dead, and that's why they have that bone-colored armor. So it's kind of
neat.
It's kind of cool. You know, it's like a really, really kind of cool.
Like I said, I think
story.
the kind of the retcons and the more exploring of them as chapters made them way more interesting.
Yep.
I mean, for me, like having like, you know, your old family versus your new family is a really good narrative.
Yep.
Having your like seeing chaos take over and then going home and seeing the same damn thing again is intriguing.
Yeah.
Being the makers of your own destruction is intriguing because that's one of those awesome impossible scenarios where he had a choice of wiping out all of the Dark Angels in the future or in the present, or wiping out some of them in the past.
Yep.
So, you know, it's like hell and high water for that.
Yeah. And it was like, and that was like one of the things where it's like that was definitely one of those situations where you're like, you look at it and it's like, oh my god, that is the most Dark Angel of things to happen to you. You know, that you were the reason that your chapter ended up being the way it is. So yeah, it was actually, it's really cool, really deep like aspect. And I know all chapters have like their cool stories that they have,
Except for Ultramarines.
But
They
I
were
just think
just
that's kind of
super
cool.
good.
Yeah. So that's
They build cities.
That's why I like the Dark Angels.
Yeah,
I just think they're kind of cool.
It's a good reason.
Yeah, and
It's
plus
wrong,
they-
but it's a good reason.
Plus, they have like a different aesthetic to them, which is kind of cool. That I like.
Yeah.
I like the enigmatic. I like the robes. I like the
I would like to see, because one of the things that I think I read about the Raven Wing was that like the reason that they like bikes so much, and that this is probably just a justification, but you know, it was like a throwback to like back when they were knights and they would actually ride as steeds.
Yep,
So it was
exactly.
like, you know,
Exactly.
on a steel horse
Yeah.
I ride.
exactly, and that's why they're the Black Knights. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? They ride off like the Black Knights.
So I guess it'd be kind of neat if, you know, as they develop the chapter more as like, or even as like a modeler, maybe like go in and bring some like that Mark 1 or I'm sorry, Mark 2, Mark 3 armor to give them kind of like more of like a knight kind of feel.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
I think they could really push that, or
Yeah.
a modeler could push that.
And traditionally in game, they always had like when they talk about like the relic vehicles and stuff like that, like the relic stuff. That it's always like you know a chapter you can only field one per thing, unless you're Dark Angel, then you can have it all, because the whole idea was, like John said, like they got all the cool new toys up front, and that's why they have so many more than everyone else, because they had them so much up front, because they were the first Legion, they were the ones that were given all the cool new toys. So they, at the time, now they're relics, but at the time they were the cool new toys that they were given. So that's why they have that like more access to the relic vehicles and the relic stuff.
Just think about the idea of like the knights and their horses and like the steeds and stuff like
Those
that.
poor horses.
I know.
Armor's heavy.
Like, that man is ginormous. Because I think they even had like proto power armor when they showed up, even before Space Marine showed up. So it was like there they were with power armor on this big horse.
Yep.
Like, my fucking back. But I would love to see
The charge takes 5 hours.
But somebody like running behind them with the coconuts. but I'd love to see like somebody like start modeling up all the bikers, with like when they have that the tapestry with like the name of the rhino or something like that. Have like Buttercup, Sparkles, like Seabiscuit,
Daisy.
I'm just kind of having Monty Python flashbacks now, where like, let's go to Caliban. Yeah, on second thoughts, let's not go to Caliban. It's a silly place.
Also, it's blown up.
I think to kind of wrap it up, I found kind of like a really good example of what a Dark Angel is.
You can read from the
Thundercats.
The Thundercats, yeah. A Black Templar strike cruiser assisted a Dark Angel force in chasing Cypher. The Black Templars captured Cypher, but the Dark Angels made them hand them over when they threatened to blow up the ship if they didn't hand him over. So they're like, okay, take your fucking prisoner. We don't care. They send the prisoner back. The Dark Angels sent a single communication back to the chapter master, the High Marshal of the Black Templars. And after that, the Black Templar ship mysteriously disappeared.
That happens from time to time.
So They will literally destroy a chapter master to keep their secret. Shame.
I mean, yeah.
And
the whole
also
thing is, like,
Cypher Escape.
What kills me is like, you know, these people aren't even full chaos. Like, I mean, some of them are, some of them are not. Some of them are just like peace-loving hippies, you know, like trying to do their TPS reports.
Yeah.
But like somehow that is more important to eliminate than like Iron Warriors. They're bombarding a planet that could eventually lead. You know, it's like these stupid victories. They're going for like the stupid things, like the honor kills versus like the grand scheme of things.
But it's not even like. But the thing is, to them, that is the grand scheme of things, because all of those guys, they have the one key bit of information that, if it became general knowledge, would tear down an entire chapter and make them excommunicado. Which is if they find out that half of the chapter fell to chaos, suddenly they can't trust the Dark Angels and they become.
No, I guess it's their own survival. So I guess like if you look at it that way, but it's like tactically they're always going for the dumb shit. Like versus like
but if you can survive
the
to
large
fight another
war.
day,
All I know is that 50% of the time they're traitors every time.
And I think that is part of why they're so grim is the fact that they have to make these decisions where it's like, in order for what we can do best for the Imperium is to remain around. We know we're fighting. We know that we're loyal.
They like go and like kill off a chapter master and his fleet.
Yeah, but the thing is, you can make another chapter master, but you're not going to make another Dark Angel chapter.
Well, you just have to make a lot of chapter masters. It'll work.
Yeah, but I mean, and that's always what they have there, where it's like the Dark Angels look at it, they go,
or what you could do is just hire more Ultramarines, because apparently they fuck like rabbits. We need another chapter. Hey, Robo.
Yeah, exactly.
Making the babies.
I know. Yeah, so that's what it comes down to. Is like the Dark Angels are like, we can best serve the mankind by being viable, and if it takes killing a chapter master that they can replace, then so be it. So
he disappeared as we translated it into warp.
Yeah.
I know we're running super long, but just really quick. The whole Ultima founding Primaris Marines.
Yes.
Every chapter gets Primaris.
Yes.
How do you Primaris Dark Angels?
Good question. And I think that's like a question that I think is going to go. They're going to further explore as the fluff kind of develops. But right now, they barely trust their own Space Marines.
How are they going to trust? Hey,
people that were given to them by Robute. Yeah.
Hey, by the way, in the voice of the Emperor, also here's 200 of my guys. They're with you now.
Yeah, they're with you now.
Spies.
Cool. Yeah, we're always going to send an interrogator chaplain with them. I think is what it comes down to, is that they're gonna serve the role of the regular battle companies, and like they're not going to take part.
Or
they're here like these super spacemen, like and they're followed around by the equivalent of a commissar.
Yeah, exactly.
What are you, white shields, you motherfuckers?
You people are being sent on a mission to the Death World planet of Death Killer 5. With a 0.2% survival rate. Thank you for your service. Goodbye.
Yeah. Or it's like, ooh, we need some more fodder to go against the killbots. Yeah. Primaris, you guys are up.
We're always up.
Yeah, exactly. Happy to serve.
I see Primaris communicating like Siri, where they're very robotic back and they don't understand everything.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting. I think it's going to be interesting to see how it develops further. I think it'll be interesting to see how the Primaris process works, because I know at first here it was like a whole bunch of these like Primaris Marines were just handed out, you know what I mean? But I think going forward the Primaris process is going to be handled by the chapters as well. Like they're going to give them the process to make Primaris Marines, and I think at that point, if they're in full control of like the GNC going in, the process being done, the mental you can see training and
Deathwing Primaris.
Might see some Deathwing Primaris. I think that would be really cool going forward. I think
their
really,
suits are going to
cool.
be like stitched up and like are going to be hemmed.
Yep, exactly.
Forge a narrative.
we had to make them bigger.
Exactly.
Weld some plates.
Yeah.
Beginning engage.
Yeah.
Well, Dark Angels. Fantastic.
Yes. My favorites.
We'll be right back. Ish.
Earl Hagen was a legend. In 1960, he whistled his way into Hollywood and into our hearts. Decades later, he made a comeback, lending those lustrous lips in the 1980s to such bands as the Scorpions, Guns N' Roses, and Pat Benatar. A half-century after his humble beginnings, he's at it again. This time without cumbersome musical accompaniment, he'll have you wetting your whistle and whistling along. His new album, Earl Whistles Disney, is sure to be a hit with all generations. Order now and receive a bonus album, Earl Whistles More Shit, a collection of previously unreleased material of Earl's favorite songs through the years. On this bonus album, he demonstrates his newly mastered technique of inward whistling. Order yours today on compact disc or double-length cassette. Also available at fine retailers such as Walgreens, CVS, and participating Sam Goody stores. Earl Whistles Disney. Buy it today.
And we're back.
Yay!
So long.
So long. No, it's good though. Like I said, there's a lot of like unique chapters or unique legions and stories, and especially those first 18.
Yeah.
Where each of them is kind of like very different.
Yeah.
I mean, even like we joke the Ultramarines, whatever, but they do fulfill that specific role.
Absolutely.
And there's something kind of unique and interesting there to that.
I think that's why like Space Marines are the most popular. Like everyone talks about like, oh, Space Marines always get the best toys, like Imperium, bias. I think the big reason that the Space Marines are as popular as they are is because they fill so many niches in fluff and in tactics that you can find something that fits what you want in the Space Marines.
I think it's easy to see. It's easy to see. They're the best of what we want to be in ourselves.
Yeah.
I think that's it. Like, you can't really look at an Imperial Guard story and have that same feel because they're like, it's a trove of guys. It's this swamp of guys and nobody feels really unique. You might have like a guy who sticks a little bit ahead of it all, but like in the end, you're a swarm of guardsmen. Whereas like a Space Marine, like a lot of the stories are, you and 5 other guys going into this like Space Hulk and doing your thing, and you're amazing and badass.
Yeah.
Like,
and that you spend half a millennium.
I'd rather be
fighting
that than
for humanity.
Yeah, rather be that than the guy who's like drinking the recaf that fell on the floor of the Bane Blade.
Yeah.
Like,
Do you want to be Rambo or like the nameless dude that Rainbow shot dead? Rainbow shot dead.
The guy that was that wore the dresses in MASH.
Yeah,
trying to get out of the service.
And also, I will say,
Radar.
If you search on Black Library, Space Marine comes back with 507 different books.
Yeah.
Imperial Guard comes back with like 70. Orcs with like 63. It's
wow. Okay.
Yeah,
That's good. They're up there.
Yeah.
So it's like they're always going to be poster boys.
Yeah. Exactly. And I think the reason that it can be
154 for orcs.
Oh, there you go.
Wow. They were mentioned. It was like somebody had ran around like we were talking about with the Imperial Fist and put a page about orcs in every book.
I now, continuing my radio play, you have Jeff the Custodes.
Yeah.
You have Celicia, the Silent Sister, who follows him around silently like a companion.
There's Steve the Guardsman. We haven't talked about him in a
But
while.
he has...
The Soul Tempter in pain.
The Soul Tempter in pain. But he's being followed around by an interrogator chaplain because he found out the truth about the Fallen.
Yeah.
But every time the interrogator chaplain tries to kill him, he trips on janitorial supplies in a slapstick fashion. Yeah, pretty much. It was like, I'll get you this time. Steve. Oh, and also, actually, speaking of Steve, the Imperial Guardsman, we found out because during our 30K live stream, a couple of the guys started calling one of the Alpha Legionnaires Steve. Like, God damn it, Steve, why wouldn't you fucking die? Because he would not go anywhere.
Oh, there was Dave, the Space Marine. Oh, yeah.
So I was like, actually, he's a guardsman by like
Davis or Steve?
No, Steve.
Okay.
I was like, by the channel you're on right now, he's a guardsman. I'm sorry. They're like, well, no, he was Alpha Legion the whole time, so he's technically now an Alpha Legionnaire.
Was he like an Alpha Legion scribe? That's it. Infiltrating as a guardsman.
He's a very slim 7'2". But yeah, that is going to wrap it up for us.
Word.
Phil will not be on next episode.
I will not
He'll
be
be driving through
literally
Canada.
be driving into Canada.
He will be dine and dashing his way across Canada.
Literally, I think as you guys are filming, I will have just gotten into, or recording, I'll have just gotten into Canada. Because that's the first day of travel. We'll be hitting Canada that first day.
So watch out, Canada.
Yeah. Beware.
Are you going to try and stop by Mini Wargaming?
I am going to actually be going up. This is actually the first time I think I've been telling anyone other than, like my wife, but I'm actually scheduled to go up and record. And you, I told you, but I'm going to go up to Mini Wargaming to record at the end of September.
And Mini Wargaming.
Yeah.
I think you talked to them too about it.
What's up?
I
did talk to Mini Wargaming about it, yeah. But I'm going to
the
go up
list
at the
keeps
end of
growing.
September for a week and shoot a bunch of battle reports with them up there.
That's awesome.
I am super stoked.
You look
for
like
that.
you're stoked.
I am
Yeah.
very excited for that.
You're fangirling.
I am fangirling real hard.
That's
No
cool.
feel could do that. That's hot.
Yeah.
I will be running a convention in September.
There you go. Yes.
Less exciting, but still good. I'm going to continue to live stream twice a month.
Yep.
Usually the second Saturday and the fourth Saturday, and I'm going to try to get some regular games in on other Saturdays.
There you go.
Try and get in that damn routine.
There you go.
Routine is the killer.
It
It
is.
is the killer.
You can follow me on Twitter at MobRulesJohn, on Twitch TV /MobRulesJohn, and on YouTube, youtube.com/C/MobRulesMedia. So many plugs, Ted.
So many plugs.
Ted, what do you have to plug?
The toilet.
BC 4D.
Yeah.
BC4D on Twitter.
On the Twitter.
I think like if I got on it earlier, I would have changed the handle. But I think that now that people are starting to follow,
There we go.
like, not many. all of 12 would be really confused.
Oh, man. Follow Phil.
Yes.
At Glacial Geek.
At Glacial Geek
And
on
in real
Twitter.
life.
And in real life.
Across Canada,
Yeah,
as he dine and
across
dashes
Canada,
his
as he
way.
dine and dashes.
Yeah.
pay for the reavers.
On YouTube. Glacial Geek on YouTube.
And then also, didn't you also set up a Patron? Or are you setting up?
Still in the process.
Still in the process.
That'll be coming out.
Patron.
Patron.
Or
Patreon.
Patreon. Whatever.
I'll be sending your shit,
One's
so.
an alcohol, one's a money bag.
I'll use
When
the
I said I
Patreon
was
to buy
setting
the
up a
Patron.
Patreon.
Actually, what I just meant was that I was just buying a bottle of alcohol.
Tequila. Okay, so we will be back in 2 weeks with something. No.
Yeah. And I'll be back probably after
4
that.
weeks.
4 weeks, maybe a month. Yeah, we can
Yeah,
do
about a
When
month.
you get kicked out of Canada and they force you to come back.
that. Yeah. Calling in from Georgia.
Yeah. I got friends in the Yukon. They might stop you.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah.
All right.
So,
Peace out. Bye.
Later.
Bye.
This episode of Mob Rules has been brought to you by Mob Rules Media. Please join our Facebook group to be part of the conversation at facebook.com/MobRulesAK. You can also email us at themob@tophat-arts.com. Thanks for checking us out, and we will see you in 2 weeks.